got going with that. We had a little trouble in the beginning. I thought Elon Scully did a fantastic job in that first kind of quarter. Yeah, it's obviously great. Coming off of, our JMU game, we have been pretty high-spirited all week. And, we've continued to focus on, the parts of our game that have been bright spots and just reinfusing confidence in our girls, staying positive, and that's going to be huge going into Sunday. I thought tonight was just...
A live look at Johnny Unitas Stadium in Towson, Maryland for our CAA Game of the Week, the first game of a doubleheader this week here on LAC Sports Network. UMass taking on Towson in what should be a really, really good matchup this afternoon.
And there he is. It's Alex Woodall, second in the nation in faceoff percentage. The Towson all-time leader in faceoff wins. He's preparing for another huge CAA matchup at Johnny Unitas Stadium. Can't wait to see him take action there. And with that, we welcome you to College Central. I'm Megan Triplett, he's Tom Eschen, and we thank you for kicking off your game day with us.
Yeah, it's always a fun time here on College Central. In less than 30 minutes right here in LSN, have the 11th ranked Towson Tigers hosting 19th ranked UMass for the first of our CAA Game of the Week. We got another one coming up at 2, too.
Yeah, but before we get you out to Maryland, let's preview all the other games going down today.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Big, huge slate of games. First up, over in the ACC, at noon, Duke and Virginia will take on each other. It's the last conference game for the Cavaliers, and they're looking to go undefeated in ACC play for the first time since 2006. Last week, UVA clinched the top seed in the ACC tournament. As for Duke, the Blue Devils won their first win in ACC play last week against Notre Dame, and they're currently tied for third with Syracuse and Notre Dame at 1 and 2 in conference. And speaking of the Orange, Syracuse is looking to carry momentum from the midweek win over Cornell as they head to Chapel Hill to play North Carolina. The Orange defense was great, holding Jeff Teat to just a couple of points and holding Cornell to single-digit goals. Now, as for the Heels, the positive momentum from the upset over Duke did carry over. They came up just short last week against UVA in a one-goal loss. And then there is this game. Number 2 Loyola is in Boston to play BU. This game features the top 2-point scorers in the nation. Pat Spencer leads with 82, and BU sophomore Chris Gray is second with 76. Now, this is the first of 3 straight road games for the Greyhounds to close out the regular season. And meanwhile, Spencer could potentially end the day as the NCAA's third all-time leading scorer. He moved into 6th place last week. He's now at 348. He's just 3 points behind Justin Gutterding, 5 behind Matt Danowski, and 6 behind Rob Pennell for third on the career list. And Spencer is already third all-time in assists, now with 212. He passed Rob Pennell and Darren Lowe last weekend. And last weekend, only Tim Nelson and Lyle Thompson have more. And bearing injury, Spencer is just to own this record before the season is out.
All right, thanks, Megan. So we bring in now Finn Sullivan, Danny Silo, a couple of great lacrosse players in their own right, defensively and offensively. So we've got a nice little perspective here. Let's just start by talking about the first game we talked about, a top 10 battle, Virginia and Duke, ACC matchup. What do you guys see in this one that sticks out?
Yeah, I think UVA's won 8 in a row now, nation's longest winning streak. The thing I'm looking forward to looking at the most is how Duke's polls, JT Giles-Harris and Cade Van Raphorst, like how they're matched up against UVA's firepower. They have 4 or 5 guys that can beat their poll at any time. You got Kraus, Moore, Aitken, Conrad, a couple other guys. So how's the Duke coaching staff going to match those guys up against UVA is what I'm looking to the most.
UVA, a team that seems like they've almost felt like they had some sort of magic with them. So the comeback wins, overtime wins the season too, right?
Yeah, definitely. Going off what Finn said, their last loss was February 18th. That's a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
And I love UVA. You know, they were my preseason favorite to win the national championship. I think they really kind of embody that positionless lacrosse that's been talking about a lot as of lately. And they kind of have, like Finn was saying, a lot of guys that can beat their matchups and score goals. And then I love Ian Laviano, his off-ball play and burying those goals. So I think this is going to be a great game, and I see UVA coming away with this one.
It's so many weapons for Virginia. I mean, Finn just named a whole bunch. Then you add Laviano onto it.
Yeah,
You almost forget about a guy when you're talking about all their weapons. Should be interesting. And Duke's won 17 of the last 18 games in this series. Haven't lost to UVA since 2010. UVA obviously getting off to Schneid when it came to those ACC losses in a row recently. So Virginia, they have locked up that #1 seed in the ACC tournament. Should be interesting to see how this one shakes out today. So let's move on now to another big ACC game. That's Syracuse and North Carolina. Some different ramifications here. Virginia beats Duke and Syracuse beats North Carolina. Syracuse is in that 2-3 realm for the ACC tournament and don't have to play that 4-5 game. But going and looking at this game, guys, what sticks out?
To me, what sticks out right away is both teams are pretty similar in how they attack. Neither team has a point score that's over 30 points, which is interesting. Everyone's kind of between 15 and 30 on both offenses. So, you know, it's playing solid team defense, not keying in on one or two guys, but really respecting the 6 offensive players you have to guard. That's what I'm looking for both UNC and Syracuse's defense to do. You really have to respect everybody. So it's going to be an interesting game. Syracuse 1-2 in the ACC. Looks like they really need this one to look to qualify for the one of those top 3 or 4 spots in the ACC tournament.
Yeah, what sticks out to me the most is how important this game is for UNC, right?
Yeah.
They had that big win against Duke. They're 19th in the country right now. And they win this game, that puts them at 8-4 with some signature wins. That catapults them back into that kind of at-large conversation for the tournament. So I think this game means a lot to UNC, and I see them coming out firing.
Should be fun to watch for sure between these two teams. It always is when Syracuse and UNC get together. All right, let's move on quickly here to Loyola and BU. You got Pat Spencer, Chris Gray, Megan just mentioned it. A lot of firepower in this game, guys.
It's like the polar opposite of what we just described because each team has the first and second leading point scorers in the country with Pat Spencer on Loyola and Chris Gray on BU. They're like actually very different Dodgers. Chris Gray to me is more of like a lightning in a bottle, really quick out of the gate. First step, you're already beat. Pat Spencer, much more patient, basketball-like, just reading the defense the entire play. So they attack in different ways, but both very effective. It's going to definitely be a high-scoring one.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be high scoring, right? We talk about the firepower on both sides. And I think Chris Gray will get his points, but I don't think BU has enough firepower to hang with Loyola for the 4 quarters.
I agree, yeah.
All right, another rivalry game now. We've got Army and Navy. You know, you guys playing in rivalry games yourselves, what is that experience like? Tell me about your best rivalry you've experienced.
I still, just thinking about playing UMass, like makes the hairs on my neck stand up. I mean, it just means something different, whatever school you went to, Villanova, Hofstra, Army, Navy. It's just, you learn to hate that school right day one you step on campus and kind of for the rest of your life and career at least. So I'm sure those guys are really looking forward to it. Yeah, it's everything, Did you beat Navy? Did you beat Army?
Yeah, definitely. I think that, there's the conference matchup games that mean, more than the out-of-conference games. And then there's the rivalry games that mean even more than just the conference games. And, every team in the country has their own rivalry, but I don't think any compared to Army versus Navy, right?
It's pretty cool.
It's so historic, so much tradition involved. And I think what's really cool is, they battle during the game, but there's so much mutual respect for each other, both service academies. And I think that, they play hard in between the lines, and each team really wants to win. But, at the end of the day, they really appreciate each other and appreciate the rivalry.
Something about practices leading up. I remember in college, the practice leading up to a big game was always different. And I know they don't say it. No one tells you that in the interviews. But there's always the feeling in practice. It's a lot more intense because everybody knows what's at stake, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Those practices are like games in their own right. Everyone's just
guys getting
locked
chippy
in.
and getting after each other a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I think the players lock in just that little bit more. You know, whether it comes to film or scout team in practice, the focus is just a little bit higher when it comes to those games that are a little bit more important.
And you guys know the records of your rivalry games? How many times you beat Georgetown?
We beat Georgetown 3 times.
You lost them last year.
And we lost them twice last year. Went winless last year. Yeah.
How about against
2-2?
2-2. See,
Which
you always
is
remember.
just,
you always remember.
500 is like, I wish I was, 3-1 at least. But it's all right.
Well, we talked about Pat Spencer earlier. Just want to touch on Grant Amen. And a couple weeks ago, Ty Zanders from Inside Lacrosse had tweeted out that he had a source telling him that Amen underwent ankle tightrope surgery, high ankle tightrope surgery. The same surgery leading into that Cleveland State game, which he missed, and then he came back just 2 weeks later. That surgery, the same that Tua Tagliavoa had for Alabama before the national championship, the playoff, and semifinals. And I talked to a sports medicine doctor just about this surgery, and it's a synthetic tightrope that pulls the tibia and fibula together to reduce recovery time from high ankle sprains. There's good success rates, but the return time is 6 weeks at best to be 85% with agility. So just tell me a little bit about playing hurt and how difficult that is. Amen's been fantastic, even coming back. For you guys, what's that experience been like mentally and physically?
Honestly, I'm going to have to defer to Danny. I've never really had to play through anything that sounds as extensive as that. So, you get nicked up throughout the season. I've never had mid-season surgery, but, you just kind of, it's important to you, right? Like, this is his, they're on this amazing run right now. He would feel horrible, I'm sure, inside if just gonna let an injury ruin his season. So
he's trying to break
do whatever
some
you have to
records,
do.
too.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially after what happened last year.
Exactly.
There's a few things that come to mind, when I'm thinking about Ament in his situation right now, because I was always told, there's a difference between playing hurt and playing injured. And, hurt is the nicks, the bruises. You play through being hurt. He's injured, and he's playing through that. That's even, even more impressive. And, I think that if he can't make it any worse, then yeah, it's fine. It's awesome to see his toughness to push through this injury and help his team out. But I think, it's not good for Penn State as a whole, if he's playing and has a chance to make it worse. They need him for the Big Ten tournament. They need him for the NCAA tournament. So I think that, they need to keep a close eye on him so they can have him later on in the season, because that's what's most important.
Yeah. See what happens when he suits up today. Thanks so much, guys. We appreciate it. Let's go back over to Megan. More on Army-Navy.
Yeah, let's keep talking about these big rivalry games, and let's talk about that one going down this afternoon between Army and Service Academy rival Navy. And this is a big deal because today will be the 100th meeting between the two service academies. Now here's a look at the series history. The midshipmen hold a series lead with 65 wins. That's 35 losses and 3 ties. The series began in 1924. And they have played for 87 consecutive seasons. Now, last year at West Point, they saw the second largest crowd in the series and more than 15,000 fans. Now, today's game is in Annapolis at Navy Marine Corps Stadium. And both teams have unveiled special uniforms for the game. Navy's are throwback style with classic porthole mesh style jerseys. Also, plenty of Beat Army on the new kits, including the back of the helmets and on the gloves. And meanwhile, Army going with an all-black look, prominently featuring a 100th game jersey patch and helmet decal. Toughness and tradition stitched on the gloves as well. Army also sporting brand new matte black Warriors burn helmets. For more on this matchup, take a listen to what Allison analyst Evan Washburn had to say.
The ramifications really, there are none in terms of the Patriot League standings. Yeah, it would have some effect, and maybe Navy creeps up into a spot where they're playing at home on that Thursday or that early quarters, and I think Army is in a tough position to grab a top 2 seed, which gives you that bye past the Tuesday quarters. So all that stuff really doesn't matter. That this is a game that is remembered forever for those that play in it, but for the 100th meeting in 2 academies that everything is a metric, everything is a number, everything is recorded, everything has tradition and history to it. This game will be remembered, in my opinion, for the next 100 years until they're at this place again. And that is not lost on these players.
All right, still ahead. The last time we saw UMass and Towson take on each other was in last year's CAA championship game. UMass walked away the winner. Will Towson get revenge today? We'll preview today's matchup after the break.
And a score in the college game that has the entire nation's attention. Danny and Finn weighing on that 52-0 game.
And we get you ready for the women's slate of games and tell you what you need to know. College Central will be right back.
Jake and Brody are not brothers, not related whatsoever, just share a last name. And Brody with a hat trick.
Towson tying it up, McLean. Nice play here, the big guy coming off of that pick there. Just bodies right there, gets into his defender, and then uses him as a screen. Does a nice job dropping his level.
Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle and a pass. With the first championship.
That's UMass sophomore Chris Connolly getting loose out there at Giant Unitas Stadium. He leads the Minutemen with 46 points this season, 20 goals, 26 assists, and it looks like a beautiful day for lacrosse. The sun's shining.
And to help you set this stage just a little bit more, check out the men's standings in the CAA. The Blue Hens and Tigers are tied at the top of the standings at 2-0. By beating UMass, Hofstra pulls into a tie with the Minutemen at 1-1 in league play, while Drexel and Fairfield was not able to get a conference win in the first 2 weeks. Let's get back to talking about today's CAA game of the week and send it out to the guys who are on the call for Towson and UMass.
Getting ready for a big one here in the CAA top of the hour here on LSN. Number 19, UMass, and number 11, Towson dueling. Brendan, this is a series that has meant so much to this conference over the last several years. One of these teams has won the last 4 CAA tournament championships.
They have, and UMass won it last year. They swept Towson, but before that, Towson was dominant in this conference, as they have been since they got in. We talked to Greg Cannella, the UMass coach, the other day, and he downplayed the rivalry and said it's normally one-sided, but he forgot to mention the fact that UMass swept Towson last year, and these two teams come in number 1 and number 2 in the preseason poll. They should face a championship probably once again this year. This is going to be a great matchup.
A big game, especially for UMass after the loss to Hofstra. One thing we'll watch for Towson, how the midfield scoring continues to develop. It's been an attack-heavy scoring output for the Tigers.
It certainly has, and that was one of the things that Coach Sean Nadelin told us earlier this week, is that the attack has been doing a lot of the heavy lifting. He needs those midfielders to get in there and get some points for this team, because once the midfield gets more involved, it's going to take a little bit of a pressure off the attack, which is going to open up the attack for more scoring opportunities, which is going to make them a better team. And when this midfield is clicking on all cylinders, this is a hard team to beat.
Yeah, 52% of the scoring from the attack unit so far this season. We'll have face-off between Towson and UMass, top of the hour, here on LAC Sports Network.
Earlier this week, Division II Colorado Mesa beat Johnson & Wales Denver 52-0. Lacrosse social media lit up After all the criticism, Colorado Mesa Athletic Department issued an apology. The game was actually ended halfway through the third quarter after a penalty resulted in a serious injury to Colorado Mesa player. Now, Colorado Mesa scored 14 goals in the first quarter, 15 in the second, 15 in the third, and 8 goals in the fourth quarter. The 52 goals are not surprisingly an NCAA record. Last season, Colorado Mesa beat this very same Johnson & Wales team 33-0, which at the time set Division II records for goals in a game and margin of victory. With more on this topic, here again is Tom, Danny, and Finn.
Wow, so Megan pretty much said it all there, really set the table nicely for us. I guess the question I have is, how does this sit with you guys after seeing that score and seeing everything that sort of developed over the course of this week?
Yeah, not really well with me, to be honest. I hear a lot of people, on the Colorado Mesa side of the argument, I guess, saying that the shot clock had something to do with it, that they couldn't help themselves because the pace of play is now at a higher rate. I just don't buy into that. You can kind of pull out if you're up by 30, I think is a good barometer maybe to
Call
work
off
the ball
dogs
around.
a little bit.
Yeah, maybe let the shot clock run out a couple times. And listen, I'm not a proponent of injuries or injuring people at all, but the fact that this game ended in a Colorado Mesa player getting injured because probably one of the guys on the other team was so frustrated, felt like he was being completely embarrassed in front of everybody at the game, and decided maybe to take actions into his own hands. Not saying it's right, but I'm just saying, you just want to be careful about what your actions are when you're winning 53-0. You might get a retaliation like that. So.
Yeah, so in my opinion, I think Colorado Mesa went about the whole game kind of wrong. I don't mind a team blowing another team out, right? It happens in sports. And I don't even think to a point they were intentionally rubbing it in. I think they were just that much better than Johnson & Wales. Last year we heard they beat the same exact team 33-0. So if you're Colorado Mesa, right, you take that team off your schedule. You beat a team 33-0, you take them off your schedule. It's not a competition. Secondly, if you're not taking the team off the schedule, use it as a way to get better, as a practice. Start the kids that don't play. You don't going into a game versus a team that you're going to handle. You don't start your starters. You let the guys play who don't usually get reps in games, and you work on that and let them get better. And then I think at some point you do take the foot off the gas.
You don't learn much by winning 52-0. I'm sorry.
Right.
I mean, in my mind, I know there's the argument at times in blowouts, don't let them score that many times, but this is so overboard that I think that argument is null and void at this point. You know what I mean? Because you guys have heard that before, right? So, for these two teams and moving forward, how do you think they handled it afterwards, really quick?
Well, I saw, it took them a couple of days to make a statement, Colorado Mesa, that is, and they did apologize for how they handled it, but it took a little bit later in the week for them to come out and say something after this had turned into a national news story. And another point I just want to raise is this team is 5-6, Colorado Mesa, so it's really great that they're able to beat up on the low new division team, Johnson & Wales, but if you can't beat, the guys that are kind of at your level or above you, then
makes Danny's point of scheduling really
exactly, so
really
that's really tough of them
as well. Interesting perspective, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let's go back over to Megan.
All right, thanks, guys. Now let's switch over to the women's side of things. We have a jam-packed slate of great games going on today, so here's what you need to know. Over in the ACC is a top 5 battle out in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. 5th-ranked North Carolina hosting 3rd-ranked Syracuse. The Orange are 5-1 in conference, while UNC is 3-2. Now, this is the 14th all-time meeting between the Orange and the Tar Heels. North Carolina has won the past 3 contests and leads the all-time series at 7-6. Then the #1 team in the country, Boston College. They're set for their final road trip of the 2019 regular season as they head to Blacksburg to take on Virginia Tech. That game is at noon. Coming off of their 14th straight win, the Eagles sit at the top of both the ACC and the NCAA standings going into the final stretch of the season. Last week, the Eagles toppled 2 top conference opponents in Notre Dame and Duke. And if you missed the women's games from last night, James Madison was on fire. Behind a program record 21 draw controls and 3 players recording hat tricks, 10th-ranked James Madison cruised to a 19-9 win at Drexel to give JMU its 4th straight win and remain unbeaten in CAA play. And they improved to 11-3 on the year and 3-0 in league games. And there was also an overtime game last night in the Pac-12. Stanford trailed by 4 with under 10 minutes to play, but scored 5 straight to take the lead. Colorado then tied it in the final minute, but it was Catherine Jertson. She was the hero with 5 seconds left in the extra session. All 3 of Jertson's goals were in the final 5 minutes and 55 seconds of regulation or overtime.
Well, just a few minutes left until UMass and Towson face off here on Lax Sports Network. One more breakdown is on the way. We'll get you ready.
And plus, we take you to our final break with a look at Brendan Sunday, Towson's leader in points, goals, and assists. LSN and College Central will return in just a moment.
Designing extra man offense plays, it's best to incorporate some element of surprise to try to confuse the defense. This 1-4-1 to a 3-3 uses a ball side slip screen to try to get an easy look in the crease. It's best suited for intermediate to advanced skill levels. The trigger on this play is the player at X. I'm going to have him go to the left, but feel free to mirror this and you can go to the right as well. He's going to carry to the left side. As this action occurs, we're going to get a little slip screen right here between these 2 players. The other crease man is going to roll off and be an outlet, and these 2 players are going to exchange on the backside. In an ideal world, the defense overreacts to this player popping out, leaving an open dunk right on the crease. If neither of these players is open, we want to move the ball to the backside, and this player should turn the corner and shoot and score if no one's covering him. Otherwise, he should have an easy look right in front or a skip to the top middle guy.
Well, after our noon game, we got another game, another CAA men's game of the week. A doubleheader today here on LSN when Hofstra takes on Delaware, another good CAA battle. That's at 2 p.m. Eastern for free right here on Lax Sports Network. Well, welcome back, everybody. A celebration you see there in the middle of the 4 of us that I'm sure both UMass and Towson, both the winner and loser, remember pretty well from last season.
Yeah, the Minutemen beating the Tigers 12-8 in the CAA title game. And today, they meet again. We're just minutes away from this big, big matchup. Guys, final thoughts. What is going to be the key to this game?
I think in between the lines, you have guys on the rope units on each team that are really talented, and Goodrich on Towson and then Paparo on UMass. So who's going to win those ground balls in between the lines?
In my opinion, the 2 most important positions, face-off, goaltending, and I think Towson has the advantage in both of them.
Ooh, so is that an early pick? Are you already telling us who's going to win?
Take it
Just drop
as you will.
Last time you had a hot take, so I was trying to set you up for it.
It's not that hot of a take, though, right?
Warm take.
True.
We talked about that last game last year, and I think you hear coaches say that, remember this moment, no matter if it's the winner or the loser. Is that something you guys have experienced and that you take into a game like this, or is it more of a flush it, I'm not going to remember what happened last year kind of feel?
Oh, if you lost, you remember it. You've been thinking about it ever since it happened, you know? So you remember it in both ways, I think, too. Because if you won, you kind of know that you're getting the next best shot and it's not going to be the same team coming. They're hungrier. So we have to even raise our level of game accordingly now. So you have to remember it in some sense in both ways.
I agree, but new season, new teams.
Yeah.
If you're UMass, you got to kind of close the yearbook on last year and kind of put that championship to rest. And then if you're Towson, like Finn said, use it as motivation, but new year, new team.
And really quickly, who needs this game more? Towson's had a tough kind of road ahead of them, but they played a lot of ranked teams. UMass coming off of a couple of upsets over them. Who needs this game more?
I'd say UMass. They're licking their wounds a little bit. They lost a tough one to Hofstra. That was a rivalry game. I was very happy to see that. But I think they're both good teams. Towson's got a couple more quality wins over higher profile programs. So UMass, they want to get some momentum going into CAA tournament play and obviously qualify. And this win would be a huge step in that direction.
I think Towson needs this one more.
Yeah.
On the other side of things, Towson had a great start. They rose up to #1 in the country, and then they skidded a little bit. And I think they really need this win to kind of validate themselves for the NCAA tournament.
Should be fun, of course. The top 4 teams in the CAA all playing right here on LAC Sports Network this afternoon. Noon here, UMass and Towson, and later on 2 o'clock when Hofstra takes on Delaware. So 4 teams looking to definitely make a statement as we get closer and closer to the CAA tournament towards the end of the month and the beginning of the month of May. So for the guys and lady here,
Thank
Megan
you.
Triplett, I am Tom Meshin. Let's head out to Johnny Unitas. Stay back here throughout the game. Thanks, everybody.
LAC Sports Network is proud to present the CAA Game of the Week. Today we feature a CAA title game rematch. 2 teams that have combined to win the last 4 CAA championships meet as number 19 UMass visits Johnny Unitas Stadium to face the 11th ranked Towson Tigers. What's going on, everybody? A giant game in the CAA conference coming your way this afternoon alongside Brendan McDaniels. I'm Travis Eldridge, happy to be along with you today. Brendan, these 2 teams have been the class of the conference so far in the last several years. They've met for 3 of the last 4 CAA title games.
Yeah, and it was an epic title game last year, which UMass won. UMass actually won the regular season game as well. Before that, Towson had been dominant in the league with their 3 championships. This is a rematch. Make no doubt about it. This is a heavyweight title fight this afternoon.
We will watch a great matchup at the Face-Off X today. Tommy Myers from UMass has been really good, 65% at the Face-Off X this season, but that's a good season, not a great one. That is what Alex Woodall is having for Towson.
Yeah, that's right. First with Tommy Myers, he's improved his face-off percentage by almost 18 percentage points this season, but Alex Woodall has just been absolutely lights out. One of the top 2 face-off guys in the nation. Obviously him, T.D. Erlin from Yale, but he is just so strong. He's winning 75% of his face-offs. He gives Towson so many extra possessions, and it is hard to win a game when you're going up against a guy who dominates the X like Alex Woodall does.
Speaking of dominant, that is what Sean Scanoni for UMass has been in goal. #1 in the country in goals against average and save percentage so far this season.
Yes, Scanoni has been good as advertised, the #1 goalie in the nation, as you mentioned. But how about his last 6 games? Last 6 games, he has 6.09 goals against average and a crazy 68% save percentage. It is so hard to score on him, but don't forget, he is very good at starting the transition as well. He's got quick hands. He has great field position. When he makes that save, he can get that transition game started very quickly. It's going to be very tough for Towson to find open opportunities against Scanoni today.
And at the other end, you have Tyler Canto getting the start once again in goal for Towson. Brendan, he was a guy who had to win this job back. He was pulled in that Hofstra game a couple of games ago. In came Shane Brennan. They opened up the competition there to start that week leading into last week's game against Fairfield. Last Friday, it was Canto who decided that it was going to be his job, and he got the start against Fairfield, once again making the start today.
Yeah, he's a big presence in that goal as UMass wins the first face-off. And, he had big shoes to fill. I mean, he was the #3 goalie coming into the fall. And a couple injuries in the fall, he ended up emerging as the starter. A couple growing pains a couple weeks ago, but he's emerged back as the #1 guy, and he's ready to get after it. But today's going to be a big test for Tyler Canto because this is a very strong offense for UMass. This is a team that averages almost 14 goals a game.
And Myers able to get that first face-off win for the Minutemen. So a possession here for UMass early as Jeff Traynor, the midfielder, battles against Zach Goodrich. A deflection. We've got a flag down that comes in late. So UMass coming up with a delayed penalty here on Towson. Free possession for the Minutemen.
Yeah, looks like Zach Goodrich is going to get called. He had that high check to the head.
Going up high, Canto just enough of that one to make the stop on Kevin Tobin, the midi, but that triggers the penalty.
Yeah, Zach Goodrich, one of the best small stick D middies in the entire country, and he was really working hard on Jeff Trainer, but that one check, he got him up around the head, and I believe that's what they're going to call here. It's going to be a 30-second technical on.
Johnson penalty, 30 seconds for a hold on number 14, Zach Goodrich.
So Goodrich goes to the box, and that's always difficult in this type of situation because he is your best short stick guy to be out there on the penalty kill unit.
Yeah, this is a pretty good penalty kill unit for Towson, but this is a UMass offense that's been pretty efficient over the last couple weeks.
An early extra man opportunity here for the Minutemen. Trainer skips it back out top. Down low, and it's Gabe Prosick with the finish. His 8th man-up goal of the season, and the freshman makes it 1-0.
That was an excellent man-up opportunity by UMass right there. They kept the ball hot. They kept it moving. They made a skip pass to the other side that you're going to see right here. A beautiful skip pass. Flips the defense. And Prozac, he had a sharp angle at that shot, but he was able to get it past Canto. And Prozac, freshman out of British Columbia, he is an excellent player.
Couple of guys combining on that one that are terrific on the extra man. Ben Spencer with the assist. He's a guy with 3 man-up goals this season, leads the team with a career 18 extra man goals, and he finds Prosick, the freshman, who's been an extra man machine this year. But Towson wins the next face-off, so each team with an early face-off win as Alex Woodall stays on at the moment as the Tigers get their first offensive set. Chance to see this starting attack unit that we mentioned in the pregame show. 52% of the team's points come from Brody McLean, Brendan Sunday, and Luke Frommert. Those 3, once again, the starters at attack today.
Yeah, and this is a unit for Towson. They got to get their middies involved. They got to get Timmy Monahan and Grant Maluth involved in the offense. And you talked about Brody McLean. When Brody's on, this is an unstoppable Towson team. He has struggled over the last couple weeks, and when he struggled, they were losing the games. But I mean, they were losing to nationally ranked teams. But Brody McLean is a really kind of unsung hero in this offense.
Talk more about him later on as there's a turnover. UMass picks it up, and Sean Scanoni will look to clear for the Minutemen.
Yeah, we mentioned this at the top. I mean, Scanoni, one of the underrated parts of his game is his ability to clear the ball and get UMass moving in transition. This one a little bit slower, but you see he will push up a little bit and get that transition game going.
Billy Philpott controls for UMass. A look at some of the second line midfielders. They've got a bunch of different guys here for UMass that can run in that midfield. Guys like a Billy Philpott, who actually played primarily short stick defensive midfielder that last year, has turned into more of an offensive guy, a two-way guy for the Minutemen this season.
Yeah, he's become so much more valuable for Greg Canella's group, and you see that. I mean, Greg Canella he's really made a hallmark of this, of really developing guys like that, where they might start at one position, but they blossom into another one and become twice as effective for his team.
Ben trying to find Devin Spencer, and the brothers can't connect, and it's a turnover. Back comes Towson. Kobe Smith, always dangerous in transition with the long pole. Dishes over to Brody McLean.
Yeah, Kobe Smith, only a sophomore, but he is one of those guys that has really emerged as a really, really solid defender in the CAA, and the sky's the limit for this kid. I mean, Sean Nadalin and their entire staff, they really love him. They love what he's doing now, but they love his potential. I mean, he's going to be a star by the time he finishes his Towson career.
Already, really, his breakout game came against Pat Spencer and Loyola earlier this year. Here's Brendan Sunday. Speaking of breakout, his 30th goal of the season. Sunday answers. It's 1-1.
You mentioned Brendan Sunday. I mean, he wasn't really one of those guys that you thought coming into the season was going to have a season like he has. You see, he beats his defender. The slide never comes up, and he beats Scanoni up high. This is just a traditional righty downhill dodge, and he goes opposite side for the goal. And I mean, he's leading Towson in just about every statistical category. And I mean, he's really one of those guys that has just had a huge spring this year as a senior.
Sunday had 23 points all of last season. He's got 30 goals. That's now his 45th point now in his senior season. A draft pick by the Atlanta Blaze in the Major League Lacrosse draft in the second round. What a way to close out your college career for Brendan Sunday, the senior, getting a goal here on senior day at Towson. That one went off of Alex Woodall's helmet, but won there by the wing and Jake McLean. And the midi will bring it in for the Tigers. This is Luke Frommer, 23 points on the season, ranking 4th on the team coming into today. So you get a look at some of the second line midfielders in Casey Wasserman, Jake McLean, Andrew Beecham. A unit Sean Nadelin still waiting for to break out. And just looking for some midfielders to really step up and create for this offense as Sunday gets taken down, triple teamed, and taken away by UMass.
Yeah, Isaac Paparo was one of the key cogs in there as well, as along with Sam Eisenstadt. I mean, they saw Sunday coming down, and they really swarmed in on him, forced him into a triple team, and you're not going to make your way out of that. And smartly, one guy went for the body, the other guy went for the stick.
Canto making his save as UMass comes quickly the other way. A Minutemen team not afraid to go in transition. But back to Sunday, that's something in talking with Coach Sean Nadelin this week, he's said Sunday's had to adjust to the amount of attention, the faster slides he's getting with the performances he's had early on in this season.
Yeah, I mean, once you become a focal point of the offense, the D starts sliding a little bit sooner, but he's got a big body, and smaller defenders were really struggling against him, so you got to put a big body on him. And a guy like Isaac Paparo is a guy that's going to be focused on him quite a bit. It might not be his assignment the whole time, but I mean, with Paparo, he's a small guy, but he's tough as nails. I mean, he's one of the best defenders in the country. So that's one of the things to watch for, is who matches up on Sunday, and can he take advantage of that person?
Canto has been busy early. A lot of shots sailing his way, but still just the one goal for UMass. Kevin Cutnella back out top to Jeff Traynor. All-American midi from last season. Cutnella bodies down the alley, defended nicely by McLean.
See that close D by Towson. They're really packing it in there, not giving UMass any lanes to go in and dodge.
4 seconds left of the shot clock, finds the side of the cage. And that's a shot clock violation. It didn't hit the goal frame, hit the side of the cage. That does not reset the 80.
Yeah, you gotta be in front. You gotta hit the goalie, hit the pipe.
So coming the other way, it's Kobe Smith to get an offensive set here for Towson. You mentioned Brody McLean and how important he is for this Towson offense. How about this stat for the Tigers? Brody McLean, in those 3 games that they lost to Cornell, Duke, and Denver, 1 point combined. In every other game, he's got 3 or more points. We talked to Coach Nadelin, and he was talking about how they needed Brody to continue to have good games. That is exactly why. They are a different team when he is on.
Yeah, I mean, you see the stats right there, and they tell a huge story, but Coach Nadelin was saying, you know, this team, they really are so much a crease violation right there on the backside, but they are so much better when McLean is involved in the offense, because when you get a guy like McLean involved in the offense, that takes a little pressure off Brendan Sunday and some of the other guys in the offense. And when you can do that, it just opens everything up so much more, and you can see the difference. I mean, 1 point in 3 games, they didn't have to focus on him. They could go and they could clamp down on Sunday and some of the rest of the attackers, where when he's scoring those goals and getting points and making assists, then you can't double Sunday as much, and that's going to allow him to be open more.
An errant pass for UMass turns it back over to Towson. A Tigers team that entering CAA play, a major concern was the clearing game. They were down second to last in the country entering that game against Hofstra in the CAA opener in clearing percentage. It has gotten substantially better over the last couple of weeks, and Sean Nadelin a little bit more comfortable with where they are and taking care of the ball.
And that's one of the strongest points that he talked about. I mean, especially in that Hofstra game, they didn't do a good job of taking care of the ball, particularly in the fourth quarter and during those couple losses that they had to Cornell, Duke, and in Denver. They didn't really take care of the ball, and it's a huge difference. And I mean, when you're turning the ball over, it's hard to score because you're not getting as many possessions. And Woodall gets you a lot of possessions, but if you're throwing the ball away, you're coming up with empty trips, and you're putting a little more pressure on your offense. So when you're there and you can take care of the ball and get those clears, it makes your offense so much more efficient.
Frommer diving across. He hits the post, and the crease violation gives it back to UMass. Good try from the redshirt sophomore from Stevensville, Maryland. About midway through this first quarter, the top two teams in the CAA preseason poll knotted up at 1 apiece. UMass looking to bounce back after an OT loss to Hofstra last week. Coach Greg Cannella saying the message this week was, hey, you can't take anything for granted. You can't assume anything's going to happen. As Kevin Cutnella gets free! The dive is good. Cutnella puts the Minutemen up 1.
Cutnella with a great move right there. Take a look at it again. This time he's coming down the left side. He gets that short stick defender on his hip. He gets inside the last second. He changes hands. You see him coming down the left side in his left hand. You see just right before he shoots that, he puts it in his right hand. And Canto was anticipating a left-handed shot. The last second, he's got to adjust to a right-handed shot, and he wasn't prepared to adjust there. And Cutnella gets his 7th of the season.
Sophomore from Wading River, New York. We go back to the face-off X. Myers got tangled up with Woodall there, and
they're going to call him for the procedure.
Yeah.
He put his arms up trying to see if he could sell that he didn't do anything right there, but it was pretty clear that he was inhibiting Goodall from getting the ball. So after Woodall lost his first face-off, he has won every one since then.
75% on the season, Alex Woodall, ranked number 2 in the country behind only Yale's T.D. Erlin.
That was one of the big reasons why he was the number 1 overall draft pick in Major League Lacrosse. Of course, if you don't follow the league, they're going to have to redraft. They contracted 3 teams after that draft, but I expect that Woodall, if he's not number 1, he'll be number 2 or number 3 in that redraft.
The backhand from McLean doesn't go. Sunday can't get the loose ball, and it ends up in the crease to Scanoni. And UMass a chance to run. Charlie O'Brien quickly the other way. Nice shimmy shake. O'Brien! Back-to-back goals for UMass.
And that is all started in the transition game by UMass. You scoop up the ground ball, you move the ball quickly ahead, and good things will happen to you every single time. So take a look at it again. This is the end, but you see just that little hip shake right there going against Jake McLean is what does it. Just a beautiful move right there, and just gets his defender on the heels and gets that goal. But as I said, that all starts right from the back end in that transition game.
This is a UMass team that is so good when they get things going in transition. And when we look back to last season, the last time these two teams met up, the CAA championship game last year at Garber Field, UMass coming away with the win in that championship game. Chris Conley, then a freshman, setting a CAA championship freshman record with 6 points, 3 goals, and 3 assists. Jeff Traynor with 4 points. Scanoni with 16 saves. That was part of a huge winning streak. 11 straight wins for UMass to end that season last year, make their way into the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2012.
Yeah, which is a great offensive game plan by Greg Cannella and his staff. If you take a look at the series, it's a 16 matchup. Towson leads at 9-6, and a lot of those wins. I mean, it was 9-4 going into last season, and UMass has won the last 2 games. But Towson dominates them at home. But when we talked to Greg Cannella, he was trying to downplay that this is a rivalry. But I mean, this is turning into a great rivalry. 2 blue bloods in the CAA, and we talked about this a couple times already. They've combined for the last 4 championships. I mean, Towson's got 3, and UMass has 1, and it wouldn't be shocking if either one of these teams wins it again this year.
And a face-off win for Tommy Myers. Gets a little help from his long pole. And another possession here for UMass as Chris Conley settles things down.
Yeah, when we talked to Sean Natalie, he talked about Canto getting off to a hot start, and if he could get hot in the early going, he's faced 4 shots and given up 3 goals so far. Not the start that you want if you're Towson. So that's something to keep an eye on, because if things continue, we might see another goalie change like we saw a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, early on in that game, second quarter against Hofstra, Coach Nadalin decided to go back to Shane Brennan, who was the starter for just about all of last season for Towson. Crazy to think what would have happened if Brennan was not hurt at the beginning of the season. We may have never seen Tyler Canto.
Yeah, that was the thing, is we mentioned that Canto was number 3 on the depth chart in the fall, and they didn't really even expect him to play at all, but he kind of rose to the top when they needed a goaltender to step up, and he played really well. And you mentioned Brennan came in a couple weeks ago, and he had such a really, really solid season last year. But when you're a hot goalie, you're going to get the nod.
Kobe Smith in transition, stopped by Scanoni. Back and forth we go. Trainer, down low to Prosek, stopped by Canto.
Big save by Canto. They really needed that. That was a great transition. You saw the ball come out really quickly, and Trainer, he's great in transition at hustling that ball up the field, and 3 passes and they took a shot. That was a beautifully executed transition. They just didn't get any chance to finish because Canto made a great save.
Monahan going to work on the short stick. Monahan kick save by Scanoni.
He had to fight off a defender right there. He didn't get the cleanest of looks at the cage, so that's kind of an off-speed ball that went to the cage, and Scanoni was able to get it easily.
Charlie O'Brien with a bounce shot. Back and forth, UMass on the run.
That's the second in a row by O'Brien. It's the third by UMass, and they're now up 4-1. Take a look at it again. Here's O'Brien coming down the right side. He beats his shorty, and the long pole does not come up to slide, and he gets the goal.
And that causes Towson to take a timeout. We'll take one too. UMass running and gunning early. They're up 4-1 in the first quarter.
Hey everybody, Tom Eschen here in the LSN studios. It's time for our Player of the Year watch. This week it's Maryland junior Jared Bernhardt, who put on that famed #1 jersey this year after Connor Kelly moved on last year, and he's lived up to its billing. Against Michigan last weekend, he scored a season-high tying 5 goals and added 3 assists, tying his season high for 8 points, helping guide the Terps to a 16-12 win over the Wolverines, improving to 1-1 in conference play. Their loss to Penn State, giving them their first conference loss a couple weeks ago. Bernhardt even had a hat trick and 2 assists in that 13-10 loss. On the season, he leads the team with 35 points, 35 goals and 57 points, already surpassing last year's full season totals of 40 goals and 56 points. His Terps taking on Rutgers Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So Jared Bernhardt, this week's subject of our Player of the Year watch. Tune in each week to see who is next as we approach the final stretch of the 2019 season. But for now, let's head back out to the action.
Welcome back to Johnny Unitas Stadium. Travis Eldridge, Brendan McDaniels back with you on LSN. When you look at UMass, Brendan, and they enter this game certainly in need of some sort of marquee win. 0-2 so far this season versus top 20 teams. This would be a really big, notable win for them and a way to keep themselves in contention to possibly host the CAA tournament as the top seed.
Yeah, it is. It's really a key game. I mean, they had a loss earlier this season to Ohio State, and Ohio State is having a really good season. You know, they lost to Yale in overtime. That was a great matchup between T.D. Erlin and Tommy Myers in that one. But, I mean, you look, they got UMass Lowell on their schedule. Utah's a brand-new program. I mean, those are wins for them, but they're not quality wins because they're both young teams that aren't playing that well. So they need that signature win in here. They've already beat Brown. They beat Drexel. But beating a team like Towson, who was a former #1 overall team in the country just a month ago, would be that signature win that they need on their resume.
Chances are UMass probably can't do enough here in the CAA to garner a chance at an at-large berth in the NCAA tournament. Towson may be able to. So UMass looking at this thing, hey, can we find a way to get a top seed, maybe host the conference tournament, and have a chance to punch our ticket with the automatic bid?
That's the other big component in this, too, is if they win today, they do have a chance to possibly host the tournament. If they lose today, it's going to be nearly impossible for them to have any chance of hosting the CAA tournament. And if you're on your home field, you know anything can happen. You want that home field advantage.
So huge. We saw it with Towson over the last 4 years, getting a chance to host the tournament and win the tournament in their home stadium at Johnny Unitas, winning 3 straight CAA titles before UMass ended that streak last year when it happened at Garber Field.
Yeah, these two teams, I mean, every team is better at home generally, but these two teams in particular, they are so much better on their home turf.
A big offensive set here in the first quarter for Towson, trying to answer the 3-goal run by UMass. Timmy Monahan swims behind to McLean, back out top. Sunday just off.
Yeah, Sunday was open in that mid-range area for about a 10-yard opportunity as the defense was kind of sloughing off him a little bit, and he had an opportunity to get his hands free.
Monahan got caught in a difficult situation. The pass errant, but a push would give it back to Towson. 16 seconds left on the shot clock. Excuse me, they will reset this shot clock back to 80 on the call.
Yeah, give him an opportunity to reset. I mean, Towson really needs a good offensive set here. They don't necessarily need a goal here, but they need to run their offense. They need to get a bunch of touches from all the guys on the field and kind of get that rhythm back started, because they really haven't found a rhythm offensively yet.
Greg I drawing a lot of attention. Here's Luke Frommer. Monahan coming off a big game last week, gets it to Maloof, never got through.
Yeah, it wasn't really a good-looking shot by Maloof as the defense was packed in there tightly.
And over and back will give it to UMass. Monahan coming off a 5-point performance against Fairfield. It tied his career high. The second straight win for Towson last week as they snuck by Hofstra by 1 a couple of weeks ago here at Johnny Unitas Stadium. Here comes Billy Philpott. All the way through. Got a stick up high. No flag and a play on.
That was a nice right-handed dodge downhill. Had the option to shoot if he was open. He didn't, but smartly pulled it back out.
Ben Spencer! 4 straight for the Minutemen.
Ben Spencer with the UMass goal. We'll score now. UMass 5. Your Tigers 1.
Take a look at this again. Ben Spencer starts like he's going to go righty, then goes lefty, then just switches that stick. And that's similar to what we saw with Cutnella's goal, where he started righty and then, went lefty and then went to the right-hand shot right at the very last second. And Spencer gets his 10th of the season. That was a nice-looking dodge by Ben Spencer. 6'4", 205 pounds. He's a Californian. You don't see a lot of those guys coming out east to play lacrosse, but that was a good-looking play.
A face-off win here for Woodall. Let's see if he can go early. Bounce shot doesn't go, but the backup there with under a minute to go in this first quarter. Woodall is doing his part. Now 5 of 7 at the face-off X.
Yeah, and that's really interesting when you look at the statistic. Usually if you're 5 of 7 on the face-off, you're going to be up 5-1, not down 5-1. And that's going to be something that's very concerning to Sean Nadeline and his staff when this quarter ends, is to try to figure out, we're getting these extra possessions, but somehow it's not translating onto the scoreboard because they really haven't been in their set offense all that much in this quarter, so they haven't had any chance to get into an offensive rhythm.
Beecham sends it behind to Frommer. Feed back to Beecham. Can't get it to go. And the backup there by Isaac Paparo. The All-American long stick for the heads-up play.
And that was a missed opportunity. That was a wide-open shot at point-blank range. If you're Towson, you have to convert that.
Paparo sends it the length, but it is deflected in front, ending this first quarter. An emphatic start for UMass. Coming off that 1-goal loss to Hofstra in overtime last week, the Minutemen starting off well at Johnny Unitas Stadium. UMass with a 5-1 lead over the number 11 team in the country. We'll be back with quarter number 2 on LSN.
Hey everybody. Apparently UMass woke up feeling dangerous this morning. After one, it's 5-1 UMass over Towson. Tom Eschen here in the LSN studios. Get you back out to the second quarter in just a second. But first, let's take a look at today's big rivalry game between Army and Navy. The 100th meeting between these two programs, each bringing out some extra special threads for the occasion. Navy's throwback style, but classic porthole mesh-style jerseys. Meanwhile, Army going with an all-black look, prominently featuring a 100th game jersey patch and helmet decal. Here's what LSN analyst Evan Washburn has to say about the rivalry.
The ramifications really, there are none in terms of the Patriot League standings. Yeah, it would have some effect, and maybe Navy creeps up into a spot where they're playing at home on that Thursday or that early quarters, and I think Army is in a tough position to grab a top 2 seed, which gives you that bye past the Tuesday quarters. So all that stuff really doesn't matter. That this is a game that is remembered forever for those that play in it, but for the 100th meeting in 2 academies that everything is a metric, everything is a number, everything is recorded, everything has tradition and history to it. This game will be remembered, in my opinion, for the next 100 years until they're at this place again, and that is not lost on these players.
Well, that game at 3:30, LAC Sports Network, though, the place to be all day long. Immediately following this game, Hofstra, Delaware, going at it in Newark at 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on LSN. We'll see you at the half. Let's head back out to Towson.
The 19th ranked Minutemen off and running, up 5-1 after the first quarter on Towson as we get ready to start quarter number 2. Travis Eldridge, Brendan McDaniels back with you here on LSN. Brendan, let's take a look back at some of UMass's run as part of this 4 straight in this first quarter.
Yeah, first to start with O'Brien, just nice little hip move right there for the goal, and then this is going to be a second one, just a traditional right side downhill dodge. The defender doesn't come up and slide. And then Ben Spencer comes down the left side. He's going to switch hands at the last second, put that in his right hand. He's going to take it near side for the goal. 4-goal run for UMass to end the quarter as they are up 5-1, despite the fact that Alex Woodall has been dominating the faceoff X.
Yeah, Woodall won 5 of the 7 faceoffs in that first quarter. But UMass has found other ways, especially in transition, to create opportunities for themselves, and that's led to this 4-goal lead so far. And Woodall went early. Myers gets the face-off win, and here comes UMass once again. Long pull shot, just a little wide from Dan O'Brien.
We've seen UMass score in the settled 6-on-6. We've seen them score in transition. Offensively, they are really clicking so far.
This is a team that, coming into the game, ranked 19th in the country in goals per game with just under 13. Number 1 in the country in scoring defense, giving up just about 8 goals per game as Canto makes a big stop.
That was huge for Canto because that was a beautiful backdoor cut.
A crease violation there on Prosek. A much needed save for Towson here early in the second.
It absolutely is, because Canto faced 8 shots in the first quarter and only had 2 saves, and now that was his 3rd save and really had not looked good in the first quarter, so they really need him to come up and step up. And now, I mean, offensively, we mentioned this a couple times, there's no fluid to their offense. There's no rhythm. They got to really get everybody to touch this ball at least once in this offensive possession and really get a good-looking shot on goal.
The guys that have triggered offense for Towson this year, Sunday and McLean on the attack unit. Here is Brendan Sunday. Key parts of the marquee wins for this Tigers team. Sunday got the hands free, but kind of whiffed on that shot.
Yeah, he's working on Jeff Traynor. That's an interesting matchup. I like Traynor on Sunday. It gives him a little bit of a different look, and now they're going to switch it up and put Eisenstadt.
Shoots high. Scanoni saw it the whole way.
Yeah, Scanoni, he really sees the ball so well. I mean, that's one of the parts of his game he's really improved is his vision on shots.
Always got to keep your eye on Isaac Paparo and company in transition, but Chris Conley backs things out.
Yeah, Paparo and Traynor, I mean, they're probably the 2 best combos in the country of getting the ball up quickly in transition and taking care of the ball.
Two of the best long pole scoring options maybe in the entire country in this game when you look at Kobe Smith and his 9 points so far this year and Isaac Paparo with his 8.
Yeah, I mean, Isaac Paparo, player of the year last year, preseason player of the year this year. It's very rare that you see a guy with a long pole that's going to be your player of the year. And that just tells you how above and beyond he is on all other players on the field if you're giving it to a long pole.
Tobin from X. 5 straight goals for UMass.
Kevin Tobin with UMass goal. New score now, UMass 6.
So Kevin Tobin, the sophomore, gets in the mix too. UMass just finding different ways to score. Here he comes back behind X, pops out, and he beat his defender. He had the short stick matchup behind the cage. And anytime you get a short stick back behind the cage, you're going to try and make a run and get that shot off because you're going to have the advantage. And Tobin smartly realized the matchup and took advantage of it.
And they had Brody McLean, the attackman, stuck on there for Towson. Good job by UMass in the substitution game to keep McLean out there. And that is the matchup they eventually take advantage of. Another face-off win for Woodall, and he gets free. This is Brody McLean, just got beat at the other end for that goal. It's a down low to Frommert, who has a short stick. Right, Roy Simmons Jr. used to say this to the Syracuse huddles. Somebody out there offensively has got to beat their guy. And right now, it's been UMass defensively winning each individual matchup.
Yeah, and you've been seeing the UMass offensive attackers. They've been getting the defenders on their hips, and that's just not something that Towson's been able to do. I mean, there's a lot of speed and quickness on this Towson team, but they're just not getting any openings.
Good ball movement here. Gets it out to McLean, the midi, all the way around. Decides to keep it.
Yeah, and that time he beat Paparo, but he didn't take the shot.
Instead, it's Beecham. Now with 10 seconds of the shot clock, Sunday. McLean from downtown, shot wide.
And that does not reset the shot clock. It's only 5 seconds on the shot clock, so they need to get it and shoot quickly.
Frommert, free. Scanoni, another stop. Big hit will draw a flag from Frommert. And that's a frustration play for Luke Frommert.
Yeah, I mean, that's right in front of the official, too. You're going to get nailed for that every single time. You look at it, we'll take a look at it again, and Frommert gets the shot, and Scanoni with a nice save, and right there, I mean, just it's point blank, right in front. You know, the player's on his knees, you're going high.
Sean Nadalin speaking to Luke Frommert, trying to settle him down after that one as he goes to the box. And UMass goes back on the man up for the second time today, cashed in on the first one.
They're going to give him officially, it's going to be an unnecessary roughness, not a cross check.
1 minute penalty. You saw Frommert throwing some water on the back of his neck. That's another thing to keep in mind here as this game wears on and the pace of this game. It's toasty at Johnny Unitas Stadium in the 70s, something neither of these teams is traditionally used to. It's Canto with a big stop. Crease violation will give it to Towson. And a chance to kill off this extra man as the Tigers will get possession, try to run things out.
Yeah, interesting to see how Towson navigates this possession because they'll be able to milk off the rest of the penalty, but it won't give them a ton of time to get into their offensive set and get some fluid. So take a look and see if they have a fairly quick play call in their arsenal once the penalty is expired.
Back to the weather. Coach Greg Cannella from UMass even admitted, look, we are not used to 70 degrees. It's been chilly up in western Massachusetts for most of this spring. Keep an eye on that as we get into the third and fourth quarters. And we're back to even strength. 30 seconds to operate here for Towson, back with 6 players on the offensive end.
They're taking their dodges very wide. Like, they're not looking to score here on their dodges.
Frommer to Sunday. Now back to Maloof. Gets the hands free. Scanoni saw it again.
There's too much traffic right in the middle of that play. I mean, it was not a clean shot, and Scanoni saw it the whole time.
Quickly the other way. Conley. Down low to Nick Roy. The junior attackman getting a chance to see a little time here for UMass as they're up 5 and they're content to settle things down.
Yeah, this is a perfect scenario for UMass. You've built yourself a nice, comfortable lead. Your defense just spent about a minute 15 working on defense. So now you can hold the ball for a little bit, give your defense a chance to breathe and reset and get in. You still have a ton of time to get into your offensive set.
Conley has his man hung up. 30 seconds left on the shot clock for UMass. And it's Kevin Tobin already with a goal today. Going to work here against Grant Maloof, the offensive midi. Conley out top, kick save by Canto, the putback goes. It's Gabe Prosick cleaning up the trash.
Beautiful pickup off the rebound by Prosick. Is a nice save by Canto to start off the play, but he's completely out of position after he makes this save because he has to get so low to make this. You take a look, you see he's basically almost laying down, and Prosick quickly gets the rebound and pops it back in because he's got so much room wide open in that net to shoot for.
What a freshman season for Gabriel Prosick, the first-year guy from Coquitlam, British Columbia. He's now got a pair of goals today, up to 29 on his freshman year. A violation on Woodall gives it to UMass once again, and the run continues, now scoring 6 in a row, looking for 7. O'Brien's shot kicked wide. The amazing thing about Prosick is he didn't play a lot of field lacrosse. Just one season of field lacrosse when he spent a year at Trinity Pauling School, prep school in New York. That was the only field lacrosse experience he had coming into college.
Yeah, he gets his helmet checked out real quick right there. And yeah, when you're up in British Columbia, you're playing box lacrosse. I mean, it's cold up there about 11 months out of the year, so you're not getting outside to play a lot of field lacrosse.
But
oh,
cold.
It's a beautiful area. It's just cold. Yeah, it's just cold. So you're not playing a ton of outdoor lacrosse up there. You're playing indoor 6-on-6, and you're seeing a lot of these kids from British Columbia come down and really have success in the field game. And it all started, I don't know if you remember these names, Paul and Gary Gate, but they did all right coming from British Columbia and taking their skills from the field game or from the box game and bringing them to the field game. And you've seen that influx of guys. Of course, we always see the Ontario guys, but the British Columbians, they're really starting to come in and they're really starting to make a name for themselves in college lacrosse.
Zach Goodrich with a hard work ground ball. The All-American makes a nice play to get Towson a much-needed offensive set. Let's see if they can get something going. If you're the Tigers, where do you look at this point? Because no one has been able to find a lot of freedom.
Well, and that's the thing is I think they need to be a little bit more aggressive on their downhill dodges. I mean, when they're dodging, they're taking their dodges wide. They're not coming in tight and looking to score, so then UMass can play them a little bit differently. But
Sunday finally with an answer. It ends the UMass run, Sunday's second of the day.
It was a 6-0 run by UMass before that goal, and when you mention who's got to score, I mean, you just got to find. You mentioned it, you just got to find somebody that's willing to take the ball. And Sunday here, he backed down his defender Eisenstadt, the sophomore, and just kind of wrapped it around Eisenstadt's hip for the goal.
Finding a way to get it by Sean Scanoni in goal, who's made 5 saves for UMass. Sunday's the only guy that's been able to do it so far for Towson. The lone 2 goals for the Tigers, but they end that UMass run.
But that even right there was Sunday. I mean, that was not a clean shot. He was just kind of putting that one on cage, and it ended up going in. So it's something for Towson that they've got to make some adjustments. They got to move their personnel a little bit and find a combinations that's going to work for them.
And face-offs have evened out a little bit, but UMass turns it over. That essentially goes as a face-off loss. And Not something Coach Greg Cannello will be happy with, because winning faceoffs is difficult enough against Alex Woodall. You don't want to turn it over. Zach Goodrich in transition, saved by Scanoni.
We've seen a lot of these outside shots. They're trying to beat Scanoni from the outside, but I mentioned that's not something that Scanoni, he doesn't give out a lot of outside shots. Like, you really got to be creative to beat him. He doesn't let a whole lot of him in there because he's a big presence in that goal. He takes up a lot of space, so you've got to move him. If he's there and he's able to be stagnant and set up, it's going to be hard to score off of him.
Mentioned it at the top, saving 67% of the shots he's seen this season. That's #1 in the country in save percentage. Sunday, back out to Beecham, and Scanoni again with a stop.
Yeah, Towson is settling for a lot of these outside shots, and that's not the way that you're going to beat this UMass defense. And Sean Scanoni, you've got to go in, you've got to challenge him, you've got to move him, you've got to make him make a move.
Coming up here at the half, we'll send you back inside the LSN Broadcast Center, get some first half highlights, break down how UMass continues to get the hot start. We'll get back to what you're going to see at the half as Jeff Traynor strikes for the first time today.
Trainer's one of those guys that he's normally at the defensive end, but he can play both ways. He's got that two-way game, and he'll stay up in transition, and if nobody comes out on him, he will wind it up and fire one, and that time he goes opposite side against Canto and scores.
Towson just got beat in the substitution game. Traynor comes out of the box firing. You saw 3 different Tigers trailing after him coming out of the box. He gets open. They win the sub game, and they have an 8-2 lead.
Yeah, we mentioned how good UMass is at the transition game, and that's one of the things you got to keep an eye on. Is Traynor, Paparo, those guys are going to get upfield really fast, and you've got to compensate for that. You can't be slow getting off the field.
Got a flag down on the faceoffs. Tom Myers not happy with the call. Alex Woodall gets the faceoff win, and Towson going to go on the man up for the first time today.
So it's a procedure call on Tommy Myers. So yeah, it's his 3rd procedure violation, so that automatically puts him in the penalty box. See Greg Cannella looking for an explanation. Tommy Myers completely disagreed with it. He picked up that field audio. He said, "You got to be kidding me."
Our officiating crew today: Kevin Forrester, Donald Gallagher, Matthew Davis. As Towson goes on the extra man. 41% on the season entering today. Gets it in the middle. McLean stopped by Scanoni.
And again, just they're not good-looking shots coming off the sticks of Towson. I mean, McLean, he was in a good spot, but the shot just didn't look clean coming out of his stick.
Easy opportunity for UMass to kill the rest of this 30-second man up for Towson. And the Minutemen are going to pause things, take a timeout. A reminder, before Jeff Traynor rudely interrupted us, coming up at the half, we'll get you some highlights from this one. A hot start for the Minutemen. We'll break down what has made UMass so good. We've got some analysis from Finn Sullivan and Danny Seibel in studio throughout the day, part of our CAA Game of the Week doubleheader here on LSN. Of course, after this game, coming your way 2 p.m. Eastern time, we'll get you to Delaware and Hofstra from Newark, Delaware. As we take a look at Sean Scanoni so far in this first half, he's been really good, settled in nicely, 8 saves already.
Yeah, he's been as good as advertised. There you saw he makes the save with his foot. This time, you see the short dodge. He plays it up high and quickly gets it out in transition. Then coming out from goal line extended, the ball comes up and it's one of those deep shots, but he's right there to knock that one away as well. And I mean, everything he has seen pretty much so far. Here's a long shot from Goodrich. We mentioned those long shots. He's not giving up goals on there. You see him right there. He gets crouched down, gets in the position. He's right on the spot. I mean, he's just been so money so far today for UMass. And we mentioned at the beginning, I mean, the key is, Scanoni's got to be the one that really steps up for you in goal, because this is a really good offensive unit for Towson, and he has answered the bell just about the entire time.
Well, in talking with Greg Cannella this week about Scanoni, obviously you see he's a big force in cage, but he's also got extremely fast hands, something you may not assume just from looking at Sean Scanoni. Also, we were talking about his slow start because his first couple games weren't spectacular, especially in that loss to Army to open up the season in overtime. I asked him, how do you tell what Scanoni you're going to get? He said the confidence early on is key. Well, Scanoni's got all the confidence in the world, stopping 8 of his first 10 shots.
Yeah, and you mentioned he's got quick hands, and for a goalie, if you're a big dude and you've got quick hands, that is kind of the perfect combination, because he takes up a lot of space in that cage. He's 270 pounds, but he gets that pass, or he gets that shot, and he's able to get it, and he puts it away right away.
Another flag coming on Towson as Trainer steps down and cashes in. Back-to-back goals for Jeff Trainer.
So the penalty gets wiped out with the Trainer goal. That's number 9 now for UMass. You got to wonder if we're going to see Shane Brennan come into this game. You see the penalty right there, the push with possession, but it doesn't matter. It's Trainer wide open, cocks up. I don't think he realized that he was that wide open. I think he was shocked and realized he had a little bit of extra time to really wheel back and take a chance at that shot.
Jeff Trainer recorded his 100th career point last week in that loss to Hofstra. First player since Will Manny to record 100 career points in 3 or fewer seasons. Just a junior is Jeff Trainer.
Yeah, Will Manny, just a legend in
He ended up
UMass
okay.
history. He's doing all right for himself. He's now out at Utah, helping start out that program, doing a great job out there. But that's great company. Anytime that your name and Will Manny's name is in the same sentence, you're doing all right for yourself.
Yeah, Jeff Trainer has been a terrific part of this team, a all-CAA championship team performer last year, and last year the first midi with 50-plus points since Tim Sudan in 1990. Towson takes the timeout. This is senior day at Johnny Unitas Stadium. The Tigers honoring 10 seniors here today, including some guys that have been extremely important to this run when you look at especially Zach Goodrich and Alex Woodall, such integral parts of that Final Four team a couple of years ago.
Absolutely are, but I mean, go down and look at Jimmy Wilkerson. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that's got a great backstory. Jimmy Wilkerson is training to be in the Secret Service, and recently he took a 6-hour polygraph test, and he had to look forward the whole time. He said it was one of the toughest things he ever had to do, and he's really balancing the demands of training for the Secret Service, playing college lacrosse, and finishing his degree. When Sean Nadelin told us that story, we were like, this guy is fantastic.
Yeah, anything he faces today against UMass is nothing compared to what he's been doing trying to become a member of the Secret Service. Jimmy Wilkerson has been a big part of this year's team. Actually started the year as a short stick defensive midfielder because of some injuries they had at that spot. Then the last couple of weeks has been transitioned back to short stick after he played long pole for the early part of the season. They needed him there. They brought some of the freshmen along in Garrett Zangalia and Mo Silla enough to a point where they feel like they're comfortable there with them in the long stick positions. So Wilkerson now back to the short stick opposite Zach Goodrich.
There you go. You see him, number 36 right there. Yeah, he's with a D-mid with Zach Goodrich, one of the best short stick D-mid tandems, but he had to play long pole, and he'd never played it before. The thing is he just stepped up and did it, and that's
figured it out.
That's the kind of guy you love as a coach. He says, you know what, coach, I've never done this before, but give me the stick and I'll figure it out. And he has done exactly that.
Well, Towson needs to figure out a way to beat this UMass defense as Scanoni makes another stop. And for a goalie that's red hot, those shots right into his stick, it's about as easy as he can get.
I mean, at this point in the game, I mean, those shots are looking like basketballs for Sean Scanoni. I mean, he's just seeing the ball so well. He's picking it up. And the other part of it, too, is Towson's just not moving him at all. He's able to really set himself up in the cage, get the position that he wants, and he's been able to really keep his position when they're shooting on him, and that's a huge thing. I mean, a guy like Scanoni, you've got to make him move. You've got to make him pick a spot and figure out where he's going to leave you an opening, because right now they're not moving him, and he's covering that entire goal.
What a first half of this Minutemen offense. On top of being terrific at the other end, they have been clicking on all cylinders at this end of the field as well. Billy Philpott spins. Shot a little wide.
The other part of it for UMass too is they've scored in a variety of ways. They're not scoring and doing the same things. They're doing a lot of different things. They're doing it in transition. They're initiating the offense from X. They're coming from up top and they're dodging downhill. There's a couple different facets to their game that is really making Towson have to work each possession defensively.
Ben Spencer is hounded. Big loose ball is flicked back to Zungalia for Towson. The freshman long pole gets ahead to Kobe Smith. To Sunday. Across. Shot couldn't go.
Man, I believe we're going to have a crease violation. Yeah, we're going to have a crease violation. Oh, no,
but there's a push.
Excuse me, there's going to be a push on that. But even that transition right there, Travis, it looked slow.
Wasn't crisp.
And that's not Towson lacrosse. That's not how they play.
Be big for them to get a couple of goals here in the last 3 minutes of the first half. Brendan Sunday, the only guy with a goal for Towson today. He's got a pair.
When you see 6 different goal scorers for UMass opposed to just 1 for Towson.
And we got a guy down in the crease, and a flag looks like it's going to go against UMass.
Yeah, this is going to go against Jackson Cummings, or excuse me, not Jackson Cummings, I'm sorry. This is going to go against Jackson Subak. We'll take a peek at the replay. And see right in front of the goal, and he
just kind of pushed Luke Frommert in there.
Yeah, he pushes Frommert right into the goal and knocks him down. And Subak is 6'5", and Frommert is 5'8", so there's a little bit of a size disadvantage there. So
yeah, Frommert 5'8", 170. He's got a low center of gravity, but gets tripped up in there. And another man up here for Towson. Shot sails wide. 0 for 1 on the man up today for the Tigers.
Yeah, they really need to get a goal here. I mean, this is an opportunity. They're 41% on the man up. They haven't looked crisp offensively. You've got a 6-on-5 opportunity, and you've really been struggling offensively. They really need to get a goal here and get some confidence going into halftime.
Monahan, Maloof at the top. Brody McLean in the middle is hounded. Somehow gets out of it. Shot there just a little wide, and we're back to even strength.
We got a push on UMass, so it remain Towson ball. And it's just so far in this first half offensively, Towson just looks like a half second slow, like they're not as crisp offensively as they normally are.
And the Minutemen take a timeout with under 2 minutes to go in this first half, up by 7.
If you're a UMass fan, you couldn't ask for anything better than what you're seeing right here in the first half. I mean, you're up 9-2, and you've done everything right. I mean, from goaltending, I mean, even, we talked about faceoffs. We said Tommy Myers is not going to go 50% against Alex Woodall, but he has been playing good enough at the X, and it's pretty close to 50%, and that's all you can ask of Myers, and everything else is going exactly the way you want for UMass.
This is the first of 3 CAA men's games today. Coming up later on here on LSN, you have Hofstra making the trip to Delaware, a big game as the Blue Hens are the only other team next to Towson that are currently unbeaten in conference play. And then at 4 o'clock Eastern, Fairfield is at Drexel. You can catch that game on Drexel's team website. But the interesting thing is, Commissioner Joe D'Antonio trying to get to all 3 games today. They're relatively in the same area. You got Towson, Maryland, then you continue over to Newark, Delaware, and then you finish up in Philadelphia. So not a difficult task, but it's going to be a busy day for the commissioner.
Listen, Joey, if anybody can do it, Joey D can. I mean, that guy is an Iron Man. So
he is everywhere.
He literally is everywhere.
You follow him on Twitter, and one day he's in Wilmington, North Carolina. The next day he's in Western Massachusetts. It's just nonstop for the guy.
Yeah, I love watching when he goes and he suits up, whether he's doing soccer, lacrosse, or whatever sport. I mean, he suits up and he'll practice with the teams and everything. I mean, it's fantastic.
Towson needs to suit up and find a goal here. Monahan. Sends behind to Wasserman. Now back up top to Sunday. Eisenstadt all over his hands. Pass is deflected. Goes out of bounds. The refs are going to say it went off of UMass. It'll stay with Towson. Still plenty of time on the shot clock.
Just not crisp offensively for Towson in this first half. They haven't figured out a combination that's really going to start to click as of yet.
The midfielder, I.
And we just had a horn.
I believe there was a clock issue with what was or was not running. And we're going to have to sort this thing out as there's a minute left, 33 seconds left on the shot clock.
See Greg Cannella wanting an explanation for what's going on, and the officials going up to the scorer's table to figure out what's going on here.
We sort things out here. Remember, Wednesday nights on Lax Sports Network, it's CAA Press Pass. We'll bring you all the latest news and notes from around the conference and prepare you for the biggest games of the week. CAA Press Pass on Lax Sports Network every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Got it all figured out. They didn't change the clock, so a minute to go. Still 30 seconds left on the shot clock for Towson. High to Sunday to Maloof. Shot never got through. Scooped up by Isaac Paparo.
The Towson has really tried to focus on these outside shots, and they're not getting good looks, and two, they're not getting good shots off.
And so UMass a chance with the final 30 seconds of this first half to hold for one and possibly go into the half with an 8-goal lead.
I mean, this is the best case scenario for UMass. At worst, you go up by 7, and you've absolutely dominated Towson in the first half. You've been able to figure out their defense. You've humbled them on offense, and you've been able to hold your own at the faceoff X. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better 30 minutes from UMass.
Cutnella with 10. Sends it behind. In front! They cash in. Conley to Prosick. The freshman's got a hat trick.
Prosick, just a dynamic player to watch. He's got a hat trick here in the first half, and another beautifully executed offensive set by the Minutemen here. Take it from behind the cage. Conley finds a cutting Prosick. Prosick puts that one in, and he had Zach Goodrich on his hip. And I mean, that's a tough matchup for a freshman to go up against Zach Goodrich. It's his 7th game scoring 3+ goals. It seems like every year, last couple of years, UMass has just had an amazing freshman. I mean, last year it was Conley who burst on the scene. This year it's Prosick.
And a face-off scrum continues. And that'll do it for this first half. UMass with its highest scoring first half of the season, hanging 10 goals on the 11th ranked Tigers of the first 30 minutes. They've got a 10-2 lead at the break here at Johnny Unitas Stadium. We'll be back in a few minutes for the second half, but first, to update you on everything going on around the world of college lacrosse, we go back to the LSN Broadcast Center.
Other players on the field if you're giving it to a long pole.
Tobin from X. 5 straight goals for UMass.
And they would later make that 6. Danny Seibel, Finn Sullivan, and Tom Eschen with you guys here in the LSN studios. What a half for UMass, guys. 10-2. I don't know if we saw that coming, did we?
Definitely did not see such a lopsided first half coming. Could tell UMass probably fired up off a close loss to Hofstra last week. They've been suffocating Towson, and Towson just hasn't responded yet.
Yeah, UMass came out on a mission, and they've been playing unbelievable. They couldn't have played a better half, and they really needed it.
Something that was interesting, I actually saw them take the field. We have a feed in here in one of the monitors. I saw UMass take the field. I'm like, they look like they're here on a mission, and that's exactly what we saw today. Let's hit you with the highlights right now. UMass, like we said, 1-1 in the conference, not wanting to fall to 1-2 in CAA play. Towson at 2-0, looking for that top seed, the host, if they can get it done, but you saw the score, so I don't know if that's going to happen. Anyway, we go to the first quarter. It's Gabriel Prosick, who just scored the last goal in the first half. He scores the first goal in the first half. It's 1-0 UMass. A little bit later, it is Towson who evens it up early here in the game. It's Brendan Sunday coming down the middle. 1-1, it's all tied, and then the floodgates open for the Minutemen. Charlie O'Brien into the middle, firing and scoring. 3-1 UMass at that point. It continues. Ben Spencer getting to the rack and scoring. 5-1. UMass taking that lead. A 6-goal run in all. There's Kevin Tobin from X. Turning, firing, and scoring, shooting low. 6-1 UMass with the lead. A little bit of a celebration, little strut in his step, I guess, there. A little bit later, Brendan Sunday gets his second of the game. He's the only Towson player who's scored. It's 7-2. Then late in the half, we've got Jeff Trainer from Billerica, Massachusetts. Some connections there today. 9-2 UMass. And it's, as you can see, 10-2 here after the first half expires. Sunday, as I mentioned, those 2 goals. Tyler Canto, another Billerica kid with 5 saves for Towson. Face-offs, interesting. We'll get to that in a moment. But you see Prosick, a hat trick in that first half with 3 goals for the freshman. He's been great so far for the Minutemen. Let's take a look at some of those stats a little bit deeper now. As you can see, shots on goal pretty even, but the saves and face-offs is pretty interesting here too. But we'll start as we bring it back in here with the guys and just that run. I mean, you saw it was 1-1 early, and then UMass just sort of took off. What happened there?
Yeah, I think honestly, Towson, the strength of their team is up the middle. So with their goaltending and with their face-off play, and to be honest, we've seen this year so far. If they're not winning face-offs at a 60-65% clip, as well as saving the ball at like a 60% clip, they're just kind of an average team, and they're not doing those things today. Face-offs is a little bit in their favor, but not really getting saves. And I don't put that on the goalies. UMass is just kind of getting like 5-yard shots, 10-yard shots that are really tough to save. But, you know, you're seeing UMass just completely throw shots on net, and these guys aren't really in a position to make saves right now.
Being very efficient with that as well.
Yes, I think that UMass has done a great job holding Woodall at the X. You know, he's second in the country face-off percentage-wise, and they've done a great job on him. And then in the goalie play, Scanoni's been winning that. 9 saves, 2 goals against. That's awesome. But I think that's also been a product of Towson really not working hard for great opportunities on offense. You know, they're taking kind of the easy shot, not the best shot. And I think that's why Scanoni's been having such a great career day in the cage.
Yeah, looking at the face-offs a little closer, we had some violations in that first half, and Myers and Woodall battling a little bit. Woodall's went 8 of 14, so as you mentioned, his percentage is second in the country, so not his usual percentage, a little bit of a drop-off. But with those violations, and we were talking about in the newsroom, Woodall a little bit, maybe, I don't know if rattle's the right term, but when you have a couple violations on each side, you know things aren't going particularly well for anybody in there, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you're UMass, I think going into this game, if you're Coach Canella, you're hoping to get somewhere close to 50%. Just muck it up. Maybe, you know, get 50-50 if you can. And so the fact that, you know, you're getting Woodall to get a couple violations, it's 50-50 or just there, 8 of 14 for Woodall. So you got to be happy if you're the UMass coach. Woodall, you know, he's got to make some adjustments going into the second half. You don't usually see a guy as talented as him, you know, with 2 violations.
Becomes a little bit head game there too,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Especially once you get 2 violations as a face-off man, you don't want that third, right? Because it's a penalty. So the violations do get reset now that it's the second half, but that's definitely in the back of Woodall's mind. You know, he had 2 violations in the first half, and then you're not as jumpy. You know, you're maybe a little bit slower on the draw just because you don't want to get that third, put your team man down.
Right. Myers did do that. We did see that towards the end of the first half. So Myers had 3 on his side, Woodall 2, and you mentioned mucking it up. That's about as mucked up as it gets in terms of the head games and everything that's going on there at face-off. Now, as you look towards the second half, how do you get back in this? I mean, what's the message in the locker room right now from Sean Nadelin?
To me, it's just team energy, honestly. It's not a specific aspect of the game right now. It's ground balls. you're seeing like 2 or 3 red jerseys on the ball whenever it's on the ground, as opposed to 1 on Towson, if any. So I would just really get in there. If I'm Coach Nadelin right now, I'm yelling at my guys, trying to get some inspiration going, trying to get the energy leveled up, and hopefully a lot of the other aspects kind of take care of themselves after that.
Towson has the potential to play make it take it lacrosse, with Woodall if he has a better second half. So that's the one thing that I'm really scared about if I'm UMass. I mean, they're up 8 goals at halftime. They have control of this game. And they need to just keep the game plan the same, hold on to that victory, and they can really almost put it in cruise control, play their game. But they do have to be aware of Towson's ability to play make it take it with Woodall at the faceoff.
You say maybe cut it in half, maybe get to 4 goals by the end of the third, and that way you're in striking distance. That's sort of a philosophy.
I'd say 1 at a time. Yeah, I mean, like just literally 1 possession at a time. You get 2 goals and a half. I think every goal you get from now on, you're going to be happy about. So you literally just have to start with the first possession. I think, realistically speaking, if they can get to 4-goal differential going into the 4th quarter, that's going to make the 4th quarter interesting. So we'll see.
You see a team with UMass with someone like Scanoni leading the nation. He has the best save percentage out of anybody. He's the only one with a less than 80% or the goals against average, with less than 8 goals a game. So that's also, for me, for UMass, that's something that really sticks out too, right?
Yeah, it's a product of their whole defensive scheme. He tells his guys, if you're giving me 12, 13, 14-yard shots, I'm gonna save those for you. So I think that's a product of the defense as a whole. They've done a great job as a unit giving Scanoni the shots that he wants to see, as well as Scanoni coming up with big saves.
Just 2 goals we saw, so Isaac Paparo's doing some work as well there at the close defense. So let's get to some of the other scores going on now around the country, because there's some interesting ones at the very least. And something to note now, Virginia and Duke has been delayed due to weather, so they are not going to play until 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. So that's something else to keep in mind. But you see a couple more scores there. One that sticks out, guys. Loyola and BU tied at 9 at the half. Do you expect that?
Yeah, BU's getting frisky there. I see, they had a lead early, and I think Loyola's kind of turned it on in this second quarter. It looks like they're at half right now. So that's one to keep your eye on. Loyola, obviously a lot of experience. You might see them win out in the second half.
And really quick here, Danny, Pat Spencer has 1 point and Chris Gray has 5. Anything for Spencer in the locker room? We're like, this kid's second to me in the nation. Maybe I got to pick things up a little bit here.
We definitely highlighted the firepower of both these teams. And Pat Spencer, he's going to get his. 1 point in the first half. I'm sure at the end of the game he's going to have more than that.
Well, let's see a little bit of a different defensive philosophy compared to Lehigh last week, where they sort of said, hey, Spencer beat us, and he did. Now they're focusing a little bit more on Spencer on this game from BU-wise. Good game. Should be exciting second half there. Should be exciting second half. And the rest of the day here as well. Lax Network, Sports Network, the place to be all day long. Immediately following UMass and the Towson game. See Hofstra and Delaware go at it in Newark, 2 p.m. Eastern right here on LSN for free on the LSN app. We'll see you after the game right here in the studio. Let's head back out to Towson.
60 million people in the U.S. face the day-to-day reality of living with a mental illness.
Even though most people can experience relief from their symptoms and support for their recovery, less than half of the adults in the U.S. who need mental health services get the help they need.
People experiencing mental health conditions frequently face negative labeling, bullying, and even discrimination.
Some people describe stigma as shame that can be felt as a judgment.
Break the stigma. Don't be afraid to get help. We are the CAA.
I am a CAA student athlete. I respect myself.
Through respecting myself, I respect my opponent.
Through respecting my opponent, I respect the game.
Through respecting the game, I respect the officials.
Through respecting the officials, I respect the outcome.
My example, in victory or defeat, nurtures respect in others.
Will you follow my lead?
Welcome back to Johnny Unitas Stadium. An emphatic statement made by UMass in the first 30 minutes. The 19th-ranked Minutemen leading the 11th-ranked Tigers 10-2 after the first half as we get ready for quarter number 3. Travis Eldridge and Brendan McDaniels back with you. Brendan, when we look at this first half, just about everywhere UMass needed to be dominant, they were.
Absolutely. I mean, they've gotten great goaltending play. Offense has been very creative. They've been finding different ways to score in 6-on-6, in transition, and scoring inside. been scoring outside. They've been getting great goaltending. Sean Scanoni has looked really good in net so far. And how about Tommy Myers? We knew that Tommy Myers wasn't going to go 50% from the faceoff X, but he got pretty darn close. I mean, he was 6 of 14 from the X, so he's just under 50%. And I think if you ask Greg Cannella, if Tommy Myers can get you 45%, can you handle that? And I think he'd say absolutely, but also, I mean, UMass, they've done an excellent job clearing, getting the ball up in transition, and getting the Towson defense really on their heels. And I mean, everything for UMass has been coming up gold this afternoon.
And you see a couple more saves by Scanoni there at the end. 9 saves in all for the senior goalie from East Islip, New York. He was terrific. Gabe Prosek, the freshman, with another hat trick. He continues his stellar freshman season for Towson. The only goal scorer for the Tigers in that first half, Brendan Sunday, with a pair. The senior here on senior day, trying to propel this team to a comeback. A slow start and an 8-goal deficit as they enter this third quarter. They have a lot of work to do to get back in this thing.
Yeah, it's really an uphill road for them to go, but if anybody's going to get him back in, it's Alex Woodall. And Woodall has been 75% on faceoff so far this season. Right now, just above 50%. And for a normal faceoff guy, Woodall would have had a great first half, but for him, not a very good first half. And when you take a look at this, and you and I were talking about this at halftime. I mean, when you watch Tommy Myers, I mean, he's going to allow Woodall, for the most part, to get the clamp right there. He's got the clamp. But for the most part in the first half, he was allowing Woodall to get the clamp, and he was playing defense and bodying it up and letting his wings come in and help him out, exactly like you saw right there with Paparo.
And it helps when you got one of the best wings in the country there in Paparo to scoop it up. But Kobe Smith moves it ahead to himself. Let's see if Smith wants to go in transition. Dishes to McLean. The Tigers starting strong in the third.
And that's exactly what they needed. They got the turnover off the face-off. They moved the ball up ahead in transition. Smith showed as if he was going to shoot, sucked the defense in, forced them to commit. Then he dumped it off to McLean, who had a wide open shot to beat Scanoni. And that's what we were talking about in the first half. They didn't make Scanoni work for his saves. That time Scanoni had to work to try to make the save, and he got beat. And that was a nice goal by Brody McLean. Great transition all around. As you mentioned, that started with Smith right there. Kobe Smith, the big sophomore, got that moving in transition.
Smith with the assist, now 10 points on the season for the sophomore from Lutherville, Maryland. But a face-off win once again for UMass as Myers wins it to himself. And look, we build up Alex Woodall because he's number 2 in the country, but Myers came into this thing 65% on the season, ranked number 8 in the nation. This has been one of the toughest matchups Woodall has had all year long.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you look at the face-off specialist in the country right now. You got T.D. Erlin at Yale. You got Alex Woodall at Towson. They're in a class by themselves. Like they are the top 2 dogs. Nobody's in their same stratosphere.
Maybe Arceri from Penn State, close, but you're right.
Yeah, close. He's getting there. But Tommy Myers, he's a top 10 face-off guy in the country, and he came into this game number 8, and he's playing really good. And we mentioned at the beginning, he's improved his face-off percentage by almost 18%. He was around 48%, 47%, 48% last year, but now he's up at 65%. He's really done a great job of improving his game and really working on his craft, and it's been a big reason why UMass has been so successful this year. As you see a penalty flag coming out. We got a delayed penalty on UMass coming up.
Well, and as you had a big save by Tyler Canto. The other thing to say about Myers is credit him for waiting this thing out. Noah Rack was the guy for UMass for the last couple of seasons, a dominant face-off guy for UMass last year when they made that run to the NCAA tournament. And he waited this thing out as a senior. There aren't a lot of face-off guys that when there's a guy ahead of them that would wait it out to their senior year. Monahan ahead, and Scanoni makes the save on I, and that triggers the penalty.
We'll take a look at this penalty. It might be an offsides on UMass. We'll take a peek at it. But you're right. I mean, in this day and age in college sports, if you're not the starter, you immediately transfer to go, and it's an offsides. You see the call right there. It's a 30-second technical, and guys just leave. But I mean, Myers he's waited and got his turn, and he's had a lot of reps coming into the season. I mean, he had 180 reps coming into the season. That's quite a bit for a guy who's a backup.
Yeah.
So you see the offsides. right there by UMass. And it was Cutnella who went over the line. So another big opportunity for Towson. They didn't score on the man-up opportunities they had in the first half, but they really got to figure out a way to get some quality shots on Scanoni.
Keep an eye on McLean here on the doorstep. Scanoni with a stop. McLean tries to move it ahead to Sunday, who saves it along the end line. Keeps it in. Heads up play there by the senior.
With great anticipation by Scanoni. He had a feeling that McLean was going to try to take that shot, so he kind of cheated his way over a little bit as he makes another save right there. He cheated his way over thinking that McLean was going to take the shot, and he guessed right.
And a penalty kill for UMass as Billy Philpott comes the other way. Spins, hands free. Canto with a big stop, and it trickles out wide. Couple of early saves here for Tyler Canto, keeping some momentum for the Tigers with that early third quarter goal.
This is the tough part for Towson, because UMass has been so good offensively so far in this game. They've got to figure out a way to shut that. Not only do they have got to figure out a way to score goals, they got to figure out a way to shut UMass down, because 10 goals is a lot in a half, and 10 goals is a lot and a half against a team as good as Towson.
Be interesting to see the pace of play. UMass in that first half, very comfortable to go fast. It'll be interesting now with the 7-goal cushion, what kind of pace they play with in this second 30 minutes. As Jeff Traynor gets knocked down, the flag comes in. And it looks like Chad Patterson may be going to the box as he goes, me? Not me.
Well, he went me, and Zach Goodrich went me as well. So, I mean, when you get a triple team in there and guys start hacking away at the lumber, it's hard to see, well, who they're going to call this on, because it could really be called on either one of them.
And it's Chad Patterson headed over to the box.
So he's going to get a slash. It's going to be a 1-minute penalty, so UMass will go on the extra man. We'll take a look at it again. Watch 30 in white. He got his money's worth out of that one.
So another extra man, 1 for 2 for UMass on the man up in that first half. Keep an eye on Gabriel Prosek. Now 8 man up goals as he had 1 in that first quarter. Conley dives in. Chris Conley with his first goal of the day. And it's 11-3 UMass.
Welcome to the party, Chris Conley. We haven't really had a chance to talk about him all that much because so many other people have been getting involved in the offense. But I mean, this is all Chris Conley on this one, doing a little acrobatics in front of the cage. He comes goal line extended. He gets off his feet and changes the trajectory of that ball, and he just takes it over the shoulder of Canto.
Some emphatic fist pumps from the sophomore. Now 21 goals on the season in his second year, had 50 points as a freshman, was the CAA Rookie of the Year last season, and now with a goal and an assist today, he's now up to 98 points for his career, just 2 shy of 100, as Alex Woodall wins the faceoff. Gets it to Garrett Zangalia.
That's the other thing is we didn't mention at halftime. If we had told Greg Canello, you're going to be up 10-2 at halftime, but Chris Conley's not going to score, would you believe us? And I guarantee he's going to say no. There's no way we scored 10 goals and Chris Conley doesn't have 1 or 2 of those.
Towson taking its time, getting into an offensive set. Still all the offense coming from the attack unit, all 3 goals from either McLean or Sunday. Here's the other McLean, Jake, down the alley. And Sunday just took his eye off of that one.
Yeah, uncharacteristic for Sunday, kind of sleeping on that one. It's only the 6th turnover by Towson so far today, but a costly one. You just gave up a goal and you get the possession and then you turn the ball over.
UMass up 11-3. This has a chance to be a huge day for Minutemen athletics. Not only is UMass playing a big game against a ranked opponent here in Towson. The hockey team playing for its first ever national championship game later on tonight in the Frozen Four.
Yeah, Frozen Four out in Buffalo, right by where I am. I'm from Rochester, New York. I spent some time in Buffalo. I mean, great venue to watch hockey at the KeyBank Center and the Harbor Center. The Pagulas have done a great job there. And UMass, just one game away from a national championship in hockey. How about that?
What a dramatic semifinal if you watched it on Thursday night. I'm sure a lot of the UMass fans watching did. Gave up the 3-1 lead in the third period, only to then score the game winner in overtime. And then to make matters even better for UMass hockey, Cale Makar, the sophomore, won the Hobie Baker Award last night, given to the best player in college hockey. Conley skips it across to Spencer. The behind-the-back shot couldn't go.
Yeah, just a little bit too deep in there to try to pull off the behind-the-back shot. But UMass gets the rebound.
Philpott gets a shot off just in time, but the shot clock violation comes in. A turnover will give it back to Towson.
Yeah, great potential, great day, as you mentioned, for UMass Athletics. I mean, this lacrosse team, they were in a national championship game back in 2006. Came oh so close to winning a national championship for Greg Cannella.
Hopefully anybody who's driving from Western Massachusetts over to Buffalo for tonight's game maybe has the game on the LSN app on their phone.
Yes, and you guys all, because I got to drive back that way too after the game as well. I'm going that exact way. So if you guys leave now and get ahead of me a little bit, I'd appreciate keeping the Mass Turnpike clean.
Grant Maloof sends it behind to Luke Frommer.
And of course the New York State Thruway, which is always slow once I get up there.
Greg I. Back to Sunday. No look over to Maloof. He's been quiet today. Scanoni, another stop. Deflected through the crease, but Scanoni up to it again.
Just another excellent save by Sean Scanoni.
He's been dialed in.
He really has. And another underrated thing, too, is he's been not allowing any rebounds. As soon as he sees that shot, he's making the save, he's clamping, and he's getting the ball up quickly to their transition guys.
And spots where you may see UMass run when it's in the first half. They don't have an 8-goal lead. Now that they do, notice the time that they take in the substitution game and being a little bit more methodical with these offensive sets.
And you've got that luxury to do it with an 8-goal lead and you're halfway through the third quarter already, and you know that the team you're playing against has struggled offensively. You can be more methodical and slow the pace down a little bit.
Conley trying to find Spencer in front, comes back out to Trainer, deflected.
But this is the important aspect, though. They're slowing it down, but they're still being aggressive, and that's the big difference. You can slow it down, but you have to still be aggressive, and that's what UMass is doing.
You mentioned Brody McLean in that first half for Towson. He's got 1 goal today. But games where he has been held to less than 3 points, Towson 0-3 on the year. See if they can get him going. Here's Sunday. Skips across. Shot saved by Scanoni again.
Wide open opportunity for Drew Laundrie.
Throwing all different pieces out there as Towson. They just can't find anything to get by Scanoni.
Yeah, they're just really struggling to find anybody that can beat their defender.
Jeff Trainer just lost the ball, and McLean picks it up to go the other way.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic of Jeff Trainer. I mean, he's one of the best around at taking care of the ball in transition.
Scanoni now up to 13 saves already today. Still have a quarter and a half to play. This UMass defense has been dialed in. Here's Monahan.
And you can see look how packed in the UMass defense is in. They're not stretching out at all because they know that Scanoni can save those long-range shots. So they have the ability to really pack that defense in and make it so much harder for Towson to get free to score.
Frommer keeps the possession alive. Shot clock still now at 20. They had a little bit of an unsettled situation. They couldn't take advantage as Monahan sells it well high. The 2 goals in the first half, the lowest scoring first half for Towson this season. They haven't gotten much better in the third. Let's see if Brendan Sunday can get it going. Bounce shot doesn't go. Frommert there. 2 seconds on the shot clock, and he didn't get it off. Scanoni stopped it anyway.
He was gonna say, I don't care if the shot clock expired or not, I'm gonna make this save.
Not letting anything get by me. It has taken special shots from Towson to get it by Sean Scanoni. What a bounce back effort here from UMass. They gave up a 4th quarter lead last week against Hofstra, allowed the Pride back in the game. Ryan Tierney with a special performance with 6 goals. Dylan McIntosh, the game winner in overtime. And Coach Greg Cannella said, look, it was a learning experience for this team. Knowing, hey, you know, just because we're supposed to win doesn't mean we're going to win. They kind of got lucky maybe with hanging around against Drexel, got off to a slow start in that CAA opener, caught up to him against Hofstra, but they came out clicking today. Philpott bounce shot, kicks wide.
Well, you mentioned when we talked to Greg Cannella the other day, and you asked him, you said, what did you learn from your loss last week? And he said, I'll let you know after the game on Saturday. But I think at this point, if we'd ask him again, he'd say, the thing that I've learned is that the fire's back in the belly of my team. I mean, these guys are playing to make a point, and they've been playing outstanding so far.
This is Nick Roy, sends it behind. Now 8 seconds left of the shot clock. Conley to Prosek, stopped by Canto.
That was a much needed save by Canto.
It's a great look on the doorstep.
Yeah, it was an excellent pass and catch for the Minutemen. They just weren't able to convert.
And instead of going, it's backed out by Tim Montgomery.
But you see on your screen, look how many red jerseys are close to the crease. They're packing their defense in because they know that they're not worried about that outside shot. They will give Towson the outside shot. At this point, they're going to keep that defense packed in. They're going to force a Towson attacker to beat them on a dodge.
Sunday. 2 goals today, nothing going towards the cage. McLean's shot had not a lot on it. Another easy save for Scanoni.
That's the other thing today is a lot of these Towson shots have been blocked or partially blocked at the point of attack, and they've been, by the time they get to Scanoni, they're very easy saves for him to make.
Skip pass comes across to O'Brien. Down low to Conley. Back up top, shot goes. Ben Spencer from way downtown.
I mean, UMass is just putting on an offensive clinic at this point. I mean, this is the exact way to run your offense. You see, watch the Towson defenders. They are all over the field. They have no idea what's going on here. Just quick ball movement. Conley quickly back up to Spencer. Look at all that space. There's not even a defender in the screen as Ben Spencer is cranking up to take that shot. And that's the difference between these two teams. You're watching UMass force Towson out of position before they attack, where on the other side, Towson is just not able to get UMass to bite defensively on any of these moves that they're trying to do.
How about the performance from this midfield unit for UMass? 8 of the 12 goals coming from the midfield. 2 by Traynor, 2 by Ben Spencer, 2 by Charlie O'Brien, Kevin Cutnella, Kevin Tobin, each with 1. The polar opposite of what we've seen from the Towson midfield unit, the middle of the field winning this game for the Minutemen.
Yeah, they've just been huge for UMass. And I mean, if you're Towson, you said we want to take Chris Conley out of the game, which they've essentially done for the most part. But the problem is this midfield has really stepped up and played well, whether it's in transition to the settled 6-on-6. They've been getting the look, and they've been scoring in a variety of ways.
And UMass, with under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, very comfortable. It's just slowing it down and getting another good look. Nice hold by Conley there in the end. Jeff Traynor. This is a great matchup with him and Goodrich. A couple of All-Americans going at it.
Yeah, a pair of number 14s. Great careers for their respective schools.
Cutnella thrown down by Wilkerson, and that draws another flag.
Wilkerson clearly frustrated by that, but I mean, it's the right call. We mentioned Wilkerson's really been this unsung guy this year defensively. He's one of those guys that doesn't get a ton of pub, but it's really one of those lunch pail kind of guys. He just brings his lunchbox, his hard hat, and he goes to work. And that time he's going to get called for the hold. It's a 30-second technical.
Playing his final game possibly here at Johnny Unitas Stadium as he gets thrown down there.
Yeah, so you see that he takes his stick right across the shoulder and he pulls Traynor down. I mean, that's a textbook hold there.
UMass 50% on the man up, 2 for 4 today.
I mean, Wilkerson's probably not going to want to hear this, but that'll probably be on the training video next year of
what not to do.
Yeah, don't do this. This will draw a penalty every time.
Traynor navigates at the top. Now down to Gabe Prosick. He's got a man-up goal today.
The penalty is now cleared.
10 seconds left in the third quarter. UMass looking for one more good shot. Devin Spencer out of the box. And Conley ran out of time. Brings us to the end of quarter number 3. Towson struck first, but after that, the trend of the first half continued. Ben Spencer dialing long distance. Minutemen in control entering the fourth.
Everybody, Tom Eschen here in the LSN studios heading into the fourth. It's a 12-3 UMass lead. A look outside the lacrosse world now as the landscape certainly changed over the past 6 months in the pro game. Paul Rabel starting the Premier Lacrosse League featuring about 160 of the best players in the world, leaving Major League Lacrosse with a void to fill. Last week, the ML announcing they're contracting 3 teams, the Charlotte Hounds, Florida Launch, and Ohio Machine. Now, former Machine coach Bear Davis joined lacrosse earlier this week, talking for the first time about the departure of players to the PLL, players he won a title with 2 years ago.
Those memories are incredible, and we share those together. But, you know, like you said, you know, there was opportunities for guys to, you know, in their minds, and maybe rightfully so, put themselves in a better position, you know, maybe, you know, financially or competitively or, you know, whatever decisions they make, you know, for themselves. You know, I feel as an adult, you know, you have to respect that.
For interviews like that and other analysis, discussion, and highlights from high school to college to the pros, watch Lacrosse Now every night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Lax Sports Network. It's all for free. LaxSportsNetwork.com and the LSN app. Let's get you back out to Johnny Unitas Stadium for the fourth quarter and final 15 minutes of this one.
From an emphatic CAA win here for UMass. They lead 12-3 to start the fourth quarter here against Towson. Travis Eldridge, Brendan McDaniels back with you on LSN for the final 15 minutes. All Minutemen in the first half as they led 10-2. They then added on 2 more goals in the third quarter to take a 12-3 lead into the final frame. And the story at the face-off X, we came in talking about how good Alex Woodall is and what type of challenge it would be for Tommy Myers. And we've been 50% entering that face-off. 9 wins for each team entering this fourth quarter.
Yeah, and it was dominant at the beginning, and Tommy Myers has done a great job in the second and third quarters of really evening that out and not allowing Towson to get back in this game because, excuse me, the faceoffs were dominant. It was really lopsided, even though it was a 5-1 game after the first quarter, but Myers has really stepped it up.
Greg Ive finds a corner. Maybe that can spark something for the Tigers. He gets it back to an 8-goal game.
Well, they need to figure out something because not much has been going right for them offensively. And the sophomore from Boys Latin School, gets the goal, and that's the aftermath of it right there. So take a look at it again. Here's the right side downhill dodge, got the defender on his hip. And we haven't seen that all that much from Towson today, where they take the righty dodge and look to shoot. They've been coming down the dodge. They've been coming wide instead of streaking down the alley. And that time, and I truly believe that Scanoni figured, well, he's probably not going to shoot because they haven't done it all day.
Finally able to get one by Scanoni. 14 saves for the senior in goal for the Minutemen. And a face-off win for UMass here. Isaac Paparo, he can go in transition, and he cashes in. Paparo's 7th goal of the season.
It was only a matter of time before Isaac Paparo got himself onto the scoreboard. Comes off the face-off X. You see in transition, you see very late, Kobe Smith comes over to challenge, but at that point, Paparo was basically done with his shooting motion. 9 points on the season for the CAA preseason player of the year. First team All-American. Just an outstanding long pull for UMass.
Greg Cannella and this UMass program is going to miss Isaac Paparo so much after this season. Cannella with nothing but glowing things to say about how competitive and how he pushes everyone to be better around the UMass team. And he's like, look, that didn't just happen in his junior and senior seasons when he was a captain for us. That happened the second he walked on campus as a freshman. He is a special, special kid.
He certainly is, and he got drafted by the Dallas Rattlers, and I know things are going to change and they're going to redraft guys, but if he ends up on the Rattlers and he's playing for Billy Warder, I mean, that's going to be a really good pickup for the Rattlers because that's a kid who's going to fit into that system perfectly.
Face-off win by Woodall, but another save by Scanoni. And UMass a chance to get another offensive set and add on to this lead.
Nice job by O'Brien there, dodging his way through the midfield in transition.
Gabriel Prosic settles things down, the freshman, with another hat trick today. Now up to 8 man-up goals on the season. He's been a really important piece of the attack unit for UMass in his freshman season.
Certainly has. He's been a huge addition to this UMass team and a really big reason why they're playing as well as they are.
Kevin Cuttinella gets the double. Conley keeps it alive. Kobe Smith has been locked in on Conley, but it's been the midfield for UMass doing a lot of the scoring. As Tobin's got to come over to pick that one up.
When you also see they're really working that shot clock down.
Prosic around the back, can't get it to go. Still 10 seconds on the shot clock as that one is backed up by UMass. 6 seconds left for Conley. Quickly across, and the pass couldn't be connected with Traynor, a turnover for UMass.
And that's an okay shot clock violation. You just took 80 seconds off the game clock.
Got
and
a pretty
you're up
good
by
look.
9. Yeah, you had a decent look at the goal. You didn't convert. That's okay.
Tow's at a point where they got to go on every look that they've got as I shoots wide.
Yeah, I had the last goal for him and is coming out and starting being a little bit aggressive.
Greg, a guy who transferred from Penn State, didn't play in the Nittany Lions program. One of the players in the midfield that Coach Nadelin is hoping that they can get going down the stretch of the season and have him be a contributor come May. Laundry to Montgomery. A couple of new pieces working in there, and Towson gets one back.
Yeah, Tim Montgomery, the sophomore, gets in there, and he got a nice look. He was wide open right in the teeth of that defense. And a quick catch and shoot for the goal. That was a nice job. Take a look at it again. As the pass is going to come in there, and Montgomery just had a little bit of an opening there to get his hands free. This is going to be an even better look right here as Paparo tries to get at him a little bit late and totally beats Scanoni. That's a nice goal.
And we go back to the face-off X, where Towson has a slight advantage with Alex Woodall, but not the advantage that they have enjoyed for most of the season. Woodall able to win that scrum. And Grant Maloof brings it in the box for Towson. For that goal by Greg I here early in the fourth quarter, that midfield for Towson had been shut out. Only Sunday and McLean scoring. That shot off Scanoni. Big loose ball along the end line. Won by UMass, but caused turnover there by Sunday. Tiptoes the crease to Laundry, shot wide.
Laundry had a good look at the cage, and great job by Sunday at tiptoeing that crease. Not getting the crease violation, but Towson will maintain possession. I mean, really, they've got to start figuring some things out. They got to put some goals on the board to close this gap a little bit.
Sunday! He delivers on Saturday. He's got a hat trick to get Towson back in this thing.
That's exactly what they needed. They can't have too many empty possessions the rest of the way. They've got to come up with goals if they want to get back in this game. And here's Sunday off the restart. Comes out from GLE. Just a nice spin move. Backs his defender in, gets him on his right hip, and takes the lefty shot.
Just about the only guy offensively having a decent day for Towson today with the 3 goals. Continuing to add to his stellar senior season. Senior day here at Johnny Unitas Stadium. And if Towson doesn't get a chance to host the CAA tournament, where if UMass wins this thing, that certainly will be in question and up for grabs. This could be the final time that these seniors play here on Johnny Unitas Stadium.
Yeah, lots riding on this game, more than just a win or loss here. And if Towson loses this game, it's going to be very tough for them to have an opportunity to host the championship, unless a lot of crazy things happen over the next couple weeks. So these next 10.5 minutes are very important. But interestingly enough, in 45 minutes, Towson can only get 3 goals. They've scored 3 in the last 3 minutes and 13 seconds.
And a much better start to this fourth quarter for this Tigers offense. Over to Beecham, now back to Sunday. He's got Isaac Paparo caught up here. Feeds out to Severo. Matt Severo picking a good time for his first goal of the season.
It's not over yet. I mean, Towson now with 4 goals in this quarter, and some of the guys that you weren't expecting to score. Here's Sunday coming out from goal line extended. Dropped it to Severo. Severo on the wing. Gets the opening. He's able to crank and shoot.
Matt Severo was a pretty key part of the midfield last year for Towson. Started this year, missed a bunch of games with an injury. Has been trying to figure out his way to get back to 100%, work through things in practice. Finally, getting that first goal of the season here today. Ball is loose and won here by Towson as Gray Bowden picks it up.
4 goals in just under 4 minutes for Towson.
Bowden not going to test that tight pass in front. He gets it to Andrew Beecham. Crowd starting to come alive a little bit. They can feel a little bit of the momentum shifting back to the Tigers. Severo draws the slide, shot just a little high.
It was a good-looking shot, though. I mean, Towson taking a lot better shots in this fourth quarter than they've seen the first three.
Question is, did the offense wake up too late? Sunday. To Severo, somehow gets the hands free. Flag flies. And a man-up opportunity coming for the Tigers.
It's a big spot for the UMass defense. They need to step up.
The man up for Towson, 0 for 4 today, but came into the game at right around 41-42%. The other notable thing is this penalty goes against Isaac Paparo. Obviously one of your best defenders, so he won't be out here for the man down for UMass.
And it's a slash, so it's a 1-minute penalty, so this is a golden opportunity. Let's watch 15 in red.
Kind of maybe got up high there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe because it went up high, didn't really see all that much. It didn't look like a slash from that angle.
That shot just a little wide. Sunday able to win the race to the end line. Monahan over to Frommert. Another one for Towson. That's 5 in the fourth.
Not over yet. Frommert gets into the act now on the man up. Take a look at this again. They've got the defense moving. They're keeping the ball hot, making the defense move. Frommert had a small opening and took advantage of it.
Frommert's first of the game gets Towson back within 5. And remember, despite the fact that the face-off X was even through those first quarters, you still have a guy in Alex Woodall that has the ability to win face-off after face-off, and UMass decides they need to talk things over. Greg Cannella takes a timeout. We'll take one with him. Towson on the comeback trail. It's a 5-goal game in the fourth on LSN.
Hello, everybody from the LSN studios. I am Tom Meschen. A lot of great games today, but another Sunday of fun is in store with some huge games on the men's side of things. Let's take a look. Notre Dame and Cornell going at it, and out-of-conference play. They're going to battle in Ithaca. Cornell coming off that loss to Syracuse on Tuesday. Notre Dame beating Marquette on Wednesday. So a couple of midweek games. A Big Ten battle between Ohio State and Johns Hopkins. The Buckeyes looking to get their first conference win. They're at 0-2. Johns Hopkins 2-0 thus far. That should be a good one. Villanova, fresh off that win over Denver, taking on Georgetown at 1-2 in conference play. And the Maryland Terps hosting Rutgers in that Big Ten nightcap. Our next CAA game of the week, the Elon women taking on James Madison in Harrisonburg, Virginia. That is next Friday, April 19th, 5 p.m. Eastern start right here on LAX Sports Network.
You thought this thing was over? Think again. UMass led 12-3 entering this fourth quarter. Towson with 5 goals in the first 6-7 minutes of this fourth quarter, and all of a sudden they are right back in this thing, down by just 5.
Yeah, 5 goals in 6+ minutes after they really struggled to score in the first 3 quarters. You see the goals by quarter breakdown, completely dominated by UMass, except for this quarter. And Alex Woodall right there has been a key part of this comeback. He has won 4 of the last 5 faceoffs and getting some extra possessions for his team.
This is the one place that allows Towson to make comebacks where other teams may not. The face-off X dominance by Alex Woodall. And he wins it to himself. And another offensive set here for Towson. They've dominated possession so far in this final quarter. And they've done it by getting some other pieces involved. We've seen Matt Severo, we've seen Drew Laundrie, Tim Montgomery. Severo stopped by Scanoni. And that is a momentum-changing stop by the UMass senior.
It absolutely is, and Paparo was right there to help out with the rebound. So now if you're UMass, you've got that interesting dynamic of working the clock but still staying aggressive offensively.
Nice pass there to get it to Paparo. But a turnover by UMass in the offsides.
So crucial turnover by UMass. That's their 14th turnover of the day.
A team usually causing more turnovers than they're turning them over themselves. And so Towson another shot at this thing. Laundrie back behind to Frommer. Tigers trying to continue to put some game pressure on UMass. Sunday! He's got 4 on the afternoon.
Things getting a little tighter on that UMass bench. As Towson has now scored 6 of the last 7 goals of this game. Here's Sunday up top. You see, he puts all his body weight into this shot as he leaps off his right leg.
Taking advantage of that short stick matchup, he had Matt Hill, the freshman midfielder, on him, and he beats him at the top of the box. All of a sudden, it's a 4-goal game.
I mean, this quarter started out looking like a UMass blowout, and everything was coming up roses for the Minutemen, but now
another face-off win by Woodall.
Alex Woodall now 5 of 6 in the face-off this quarter.
And he's free, but he decides to keep it. And we're going to get a timeout for Towson as Woodall didn't have anybody to get it to. What a 4th quarter so far for Alex Woodall, who, depending on the outcome of the rest of the CAA conference slate, may be playing his final game in his senior season at Johnny Unitas Stadium. Taking a look at his career, started off freshman season at High Point, was good, 53% of 212 faceoffs. He then transfers to Towson, was 11th in the country that year, helping the Tigers make a run to championship weekend in the Final Four. Last year, okay, 60%, really good numbers, CAA all-tournament team, but making this gigantic leap into his senior season, ranked 2nd in the country. It's been well documented. He lost weight, got into better shape. One of the reasons you see him have the ability to go on runs like he's going on now in the 4th quarter late in games.
Yeah, you take a look, he was last week, he was the player of the week, 22 of 25 against Fairfield, including 16 ground balls, a couple of assists. The 5th time this season he's got 20 or more face-off wins. You see he's really been working hard today to try to help to get his team back in there, but you saw in that graphic he got better every single year from High Point to his sophomore year at Towson, last year, this year, progressively getting better and better.
And Coach Nadalin admitted to us earlier this season, there were games last year because he had put on a little bit of weight, wasn't in his top physical condition, where they had to go to other options when he wasn't performing his best. He maybe was a little slow being able to win the ball to himself. This year, not the case, and Coach Nadalin had such high praise for Alex Woodall and his ability to get in shape this summer and come in to his senior season in the best shape of his life, ready to help this Tigers team compete for a CAA and a national championship.
Yeah, I mean, just really focused on his body, and just and you see the results of when you really get in there and work on your core and get stronger.
They got the defense moving there for Towson, shot high. The Tigers are on a 5-0 run here in the 4th quarter.
They've scored 6 of the last 7 as well.
Sunday already 4 goals on the day, draws a lot of attention. Gets it back to Frommer, to Maloof. That was a good look.
Yeah, Towson's getting much better looks in this 4th quarter. You know, light bulb finally went off for him, but you're still down 4 with 6.5 to go. There's a lot of time left, but it's a big hole to dig yourself out of.
Down by 9 goals entering this 4th quarter. Drew Laundrie on Billy Philpott, stopped by Scanoni. Big loose ball, won by UMass. Nice play by Jackson Subak to get it ahead. Jeff Trainer down low and in transition. Tic-tac-toe, saved by Canto.
Huge, huge save by Tyler Canto. Prosek just on the doorstep right there.
Gray Bowden brings it over. And Prosek diving did get across midfield. But I believe somebody was back for UMass, so no offsides on the Minutemen. So another chance to cut into this lead for Towson. Under 6 minutes to go in the fourth. Done a much better job moving this UMass defense in the final frame. Sunday against the short stick. Shot high. That is a matchup that Towson has been able to get. Sunday on a short stick, he was able to take advantage just a couple of minutes ago.
He's been getting a couple of those in these last few minutes. That was the matchup we're looking to figure out, was who was going to guard him.
Sunday to Montgomery, whiffed on the shot. And a loose ball there by UMass. The All-American Isaac Paparo. And the Minutemen now under 5 minutes to go. A chance to try to kill some clock here. Despite the fact that it was a good shot the last time out, Towson kind of baited him into it.
Yeah, and this is now, you can milk the clock. The longer you hold on to the ball and milk the clock in this shot clock, the harder it is for Towson to reel off those 4 goals just to tie you back up. You see UMass taking their time. They're going to probably milk this down to about the 8 to 12 second range before they really start getting any serious attack going.
Conley collects at X.
I mean, if you're UMass still, even if you don't get a shot off, they still have to beat you 4 more times and win the faceoffs.
That shot a little wide, backed up with 9 seconds left on the shot clock. And I think Conley is going to be content to just take the shot clock violation. He does.
Yep, he just drops it. But they just burned 80 seconds off the clock. And now you go down to 3.5.
Long pass from Kobe Smith.
And that's going to go out of, now it's out of bounds.
Great hustle play by Montgomery to keep it in initially. A quick turnover that Towson did not need in this defense. It's got to go back to work after having to defend for 80 seconds.
Yeah, and they got to be ready to defend for another 80 seconds here, because UMass is going to absolutely take the air out of this ball.
Under 3 minutes to go in this CAA game, a massive game in conference. The Minutemen looking to get to 2-1 in CAA play, trying to end UMass and Towson's undefeated streak in the conference. Tigers entering this one at 2-0. Trainer step down, and that may be the nail in the coffin.
Jeff Trainer with the UMass goal. Your score now, UMass 14, your Tigers 9, 2:35 left in the quarter.
That is the first goal in 11.5 minutes for UMass, but Trainer, nobody on him, gets an opportunity to wind it up with a lefty shot. And Cantor can't really do much about that. It's a huge, huge play by the veteran Jeff Trainer.
The Minutemen, the defending CAA tournament champions, looking to bounce back after that loss to Hofstra last week and keep themselves alive and in contention to possibly host the CAA tournament at the end of the year as the top seed. And now with a 5-goal lead with 2:30 to go, golden opportunity to finish off the Tigers. Frommert looks to answer, and he does. Towson just hanging around.
Yeah, they're not going to go quietly into the night, that's for sure. That's the second goal of the quarter for Frommert. So with 2:13 to go, there's still plenty of time because you got Woodall at the faceoff axe. So you go behind the crease, come goal line extended, and he's got his shorty completely beat. And Frommert was taking that all the way.
Sixth multi-goal game for Luke Frommert of the season. He's now up to 18 goals on the year. And a really important face-off.
And it's going to be a procedure against Tommy Myers and UMass.
So here we go. Towson back to work. Chance to get back within 3. Tigers trailed 12-3 entering this quarter. They've scored 7 goals in the 4th.
There can't be any empty possessions for Towson from here on out.
Maloof off the post. Huge ground ball. Flag down. And who's it on?
That's interesting because it was during a loose ball, so this could be against either team. Madeline is not happy about this, so I'm assuming this is against Towson. So there's the ball off the pipe. Here's a scrum for the ball, and it looks like...
There it is, Laundrie.
Yeah, Drew Laundrie will get the penalty call. Oh, excuse me, no, they're not going to call it on... They're going to call it on Tim Montgomery. No, it is... No, excuse me, no, it's 20.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, it is Laundrie.
Taking a drink before he goes to the box. And it's an unreleasable.
It's an illegal body check, and I believe they just called it unsportsmanlike conduct against him as well.
Certainly was a huge possession on the ground ball, a huge fight for it, and an important one.
I believe that Laundrie got a 1-minute penalty, and then he just got maybe a second one.
Either way, a man-up opportunity for UMass. With just 1:30 left, they can take most of the game clock down if they just hold on to this thing.
So it was a body check on Drew Laundrie.
It's an unreleasable penalty for a minute, so no matter what happens, UMass could score here and they still keep the extra man. What a bounce back effort from the Minutemen, despite the fact that Towson was able to score the 7 goals here in the 4th quarter. An impressive performance, and that may just cap it. Chris Conley on the doorstep, his 4th point of the day. UMass gonna score a big CAA win.
It's a huge, huge win for UMass and Greg Cannella. One more look at this. Again, they get it down on the doorstep to Conley, his 2nd of the afternoon. It's a big one that pretty much ices it for the Minutemen as they're on the man up in the 100th career point for Chris Conley. And how about that? 100 career points, and you haven't even finished 2 years of college lacrosse yet.
Excuse me. It's not his 100th career point. They're calling it off.
And they must have called a crease violation on this then.
And so the 100th career point's going to have to wait for Chris Conley. And
oh, there's a slash on UMass.
On Towson.
Excuse me, on Towson, excuse me, sorry.
And so UMass will be able to to finish this thing off. But Chris Conley, unless he puts one home here, is going to have to wait for 100 career goals or 100 career points till next week.
But still, 100 career points in less than 2 years.
He's going to do it in his sophomore
yes.
season.
He's doing it next week.
Jeff Traynor, a chance to run this thing out.
And I'll even be so bold to say he does in the first half next week.
All right, there's your prediction.
I know that's
Don't jinx him.
I was going to say, I know that's about as hot of a take as you could possibly get for a guy like Chris Conley, who's a multiple point per game guy.
UMass was challenged last week. They gave up a fourth quarter lead and lost in overtime to Hofstra. Well, they bounced back in a gigantic way today. A dominant performance through 3 quarters. They hold on in the fourth. The Minutemen with a big 14-10 win on the road over Towson.
Just a significant win for UMass. They win it by 4. They got a little bit of a scare in the fourth quarter, but they're able to take care of business and get their 3rd in a row over Towson.
So after 7 straight going to the Tigers in this series, the Minutemen have flipped the script, and I think it's safe to say the rivalry is real.
Despite what Greg Cannella says, this is a rivalry, and it is starting to even out real quick. 3 in a row for UMass, including a championship last year. We may see these 2 teams in the championship again this year, but hats off to everybody at UMass. This was a total team win from all 3 facets of the game.
Both teams now 2-1 in CAA play. So once again, your final score, UMass 14, Towson 10. Thanks for watching our CAA Game of the Week on LAC Sports Network. For Brendan McDaniels, our producer Dylan Hand, and our entire crew, I'm Travis Eldridge. We send you back now into the LSN Broadcast Center.
Well, Towson certainly made things interesting, didn't they, tonight? UMass ended up winning that one 14-10. That's the first game of our CAA Game of the Week doubleheader. Right now, currently in action, Delaware.